non-committal about the bills. Where are some of the most romantic spots to stay in Wisconsin? Waukesha native Margaret Meinert and her husband Corey road tripped across the country to find out, taking colorful photos for their new book, Hotel Kitsch, a pretty cool tour of America's fantasy getaways. Instead of neutral-toned corporate hotel rooms, the Meinerts visited dozens of whimsically themed rooms, including one of their favorites at Dodgeville's Don Q Inn.
There's a hot air balloon bed actually suspended in the air. It's hanging from the ceiling. You can see underneath it. Literally, you're just like in the basket of this massive hot air balloon.
Sybaris Pool Suites in Mequon also made the cut for the book. This year's Valentine's Day falls on the same day as Ash Wednesday, the beginning of the Catholic Lenten season. Milwaukee Archbishop Jerome Listecki has not given a dispensation or exception for Catholics from fasting and abstinence, despite the first day of Lent coinciding with the day linked to sweets. The last time the 2 days mixed was in 2018. It'll happen again in 2029. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is now up 21 points. The Nasdaq is up 98. The S&P 500 is up 20. It's a great time for your retirement and investment strategy review from a fee-only fiduciary. Go to annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button now. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:03.
Another MVP has joined the roster at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, Dr. Michael Nolte. Expertscape recently named him part of the top 1% of spine expertise in the world. Dr. Nolte has published over 50 peer-reviewed articles in leading scientific journals and authored more than 100 national presentations. They added this MVP specialist for orthopedic, neurosurgical, and spine care because at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, there is a difference.
Thrifters can spot great deals from a mile away. And here the term great deal is an understatement. The lowest prices on men's, women's, and children's clothing, toys, furniture, housewares, jewelry, and accessories, bikes, books, games, and more. And every time you're here, you'll find something new. So if you're thrifty, you'll find this place is pretty nifty. St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores, Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
Ooh, you're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
I had a really strange experience today.
Strange how?
A man walked into the store who was only about 2.5 feet tall.
What?
And he was carrying a bow and arrows.
Did he sort of have a baby face?
Yes. How did you know?
Sarah, that was Cupid.
Oh!
Did he give us a thumbs up?
Yes, 3 times.
So tell us, what are the Cupid-approved gifts for Valentine's 2024?
He loved our diamond stud earrings starting at $198.
We have 186 different styles and sizes.
And we have more than 1,400 pair in stock.
And Cupid loved our $98 diamond pendant.
It looks like it's worth a lot more.
And every purchase of $298 or more includes a fabulous free travel case to safely transport all of your jewelry.
But mostly, he loved the 4-carat total weight wow diamond engagement ring for less than $4,000.
Welcome to Kessler's for Valentine's Day.
Cupid approved.
Find the Kesslers nearest you at KesslersDiamonds.com.
Just missed a triple-double. The Bucks were blasted by the Heat, 123-97 at Fiserv Forum. Giannis had 23 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists. Damian Lillard added 16 points for the Bucks, who finished 2-2 on their 4-game homestand. Bucks visit Memphis tomorrow in their final game before the All-Star break. Wisconsin put an end to its 4-game losing streak with a 62-54 win over Ohio State at Kohl Center. 4th-ranked Marquette extended its winning streak to 8 in a row with a 78-72 victory over Butler in Indianapolis. Brewers hold their first workout with pitchers and catchers tomorrow in Phoenix. The first full squad workout will be on Tuesday. The Brewers will then begin spring play February 24th against the Padres in Peoria. Taking a look at your roads now, your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Again, smooth sailing, no problems to report right now. 94 outbound from the Zoo to Highway 16, about in a 10-minute drive, and 4145 northbound from the Zoo interchange to Highway Q14. 94 south from the Marquette interchange to Layton Avenue, running about 6 this afternoon. Your WTMJ 5-day forecast, mostly sunny today. Some clouds rolling in later today, a high of 45. There's a rain-snow mix expected past midnight tonight with a low 34. That wintry mix will continue into the morning hours tomorrow with a high of 38. Friday, mostly cloudy, some flurries, a high 31. Saturday, partly cloudy skies, breezy, chilly with a high of 32. And Sunday, mostly sunny, mild temperatures with a high Sunday of 39 degrees. Madison right now 38, Green Bay 33, Milwaukee 40. 42 degrees. I'm Connie Weber. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:07.
It's the middle of the day on WTMJ. Come join the conversation on the WTMJ Talk and Text line at 855-616-1620. Now, here's Tracy Johnson.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Great to be with you on this Wednesday show till 3 o'clock this afternoon. I know I was excited to be here on Monday when WTMJ rolled out the announcement of their new lineup starting on Monday, which is, I believe it's President's Day, February 19th. So I think you can still get the lineup. If you haven't heard, you can get that information by texting the word lineup to the WTMJ text line. That's 855-616-1620. Again, you can text the word lineup to find out what you will be hearing at noon next week, Monday, starting, I believe, at 5 a.m. They've got the Farm Report. And if you tune in at noon, I think Greg Matzik will be about halfway through his show. He and Jessica Ty will be doing the news, the midday news. So that should be really exciting. But it's funny. A lot of people have asked me about my time here. And, you know, I just want to make clear I'm filling in here as a host, and I'm having a great time. It's really stretching kind of the way I look at things, the people that I talk to, and I love really sharing this conversation, hearing from you, bringing in great panelists, and then offering my perspective of the world, which is really my perspective. I know sometimes people say, well, you're being biased, and it's like, well, you know, I am a little biased, and I do have an opinion. So hopefully, if you're engaging, you find that I will share opinions that aren't mine. And I think that's healthy. That's what we all need here. All right. But congrats to WTMJ for evolving in that matter. So today is Valentine's Day, and I hope you have plans for this afternoon. I hope that you are, when you come back from lunch, you will have roses on your desk, or that you are out with the millions of people who are last minute shopping for Valentine's Day. I found this stat interesting, that Valentine's Day is a last minute holiday. Walmart sells nearly 40 million red roses for the holiday and says that around 75% of its sales occur on February 13th and 14th. So nothing says I love you, honey, like red roses from Walmart. But anyway, wherever this holiday finds you, I hope it is well. Also, very importantly for those who are Christians, Catholic, Lutherans, it is Ash Wednesday and the beginning of Lent. And so I was really pleased to be able to spend some time. I went to Mass this morning, and it was a really great way to start the day, to kind of push out all the noise that, you know, is inevitably part of our day, and, you know, take some time to reflect. So for those of you celebrating that holiday, may it be a good one as well. So we have a lot happening in Washington, D.C., and in Madison that, of course, we will follow throughout the day. We'll be joined at 1 o'clock by Congressman Scott Fitzgerald, who is from Wisconsin's 5th Congressional District. Many of you might remember him as a state senator. He is in Washington, D.C. now, hot off the vote to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. So we're going to ask him about that. I'll ask him about the progress on the border bill and funding in Ukraine as well. So we have new maps for voting in Wisconsin. I think this has been covered pretty heavily by Steve. I know if you tuned in today, he took a lot of calls and there was a lot of discussion. Those maps were proposed by Governor Evers and were approved by the legislature, and now will go to the governor's desk. I thought it was interesting, though, in kind of the discussion, that there were a lot of particularly Democrats who were against the maps. And, you know, I thought perhaps this would be kind of a moment where everyone could just kind of come together and say, okay, let's put this issue behind us and let's move forward. And hopefully that our ideas and our ideals will win the day when we have these new maps. But I know, looking at some of the matchups that are going to occur as a result of these new maps, I'm disappointed that, you know, we're inevitably going to lose some good leaders who are representing the state of Wisconsin. I know in my own district, Senator Strobel and I believe Senator Dan Canota will be up against one another. So we'll see how that kind of all shakes out through the course of the next couple of weeks. And yes, those maps will be in place. But again, let's just move beyond this and put this behind us. I know it's very difficult, but elections have consequences, and this is what happens. So I want to start with this, though, because it hits on a lot of buttons for me. It hits on elections, hits on referendums, hits on education, and it hits on property taxes. So, I'm in the real estate world, and property taxes are a big issue. In the organization that I work for with the realtors, we are always looking at how do we make sure that communities thrive and survive, but we also have low property taxes or reasonable property taxes. Right now in the state of Wisconsin, we actually have fairly high property taxes, but one of the issues with the property tax is that it's the only mechanism for funding that many municipalities have to support infrastructure, support schools, support much of their business. So it is very important to note, though, that education is really important. Yes, we all agree that education funding, even though it's increased in the last budget, and we all celebrate it. Also, education funding is complicated because we have levy limits. Many communities say that they cannot raise the needed funds for schools. But it also is written in state statute that cities can go to referendum and ask citizens to vote for property tax increases to pay for that education. Now, I think this is really important to consider because I think it should neutralize any argument against those levy limits, which I think becomes kind of a political weapon when people talk about education funding. Another point that I want to give out there to lay the foundation for what I'm about to talk about is that the city of Milwaukee is very important to the entire state. I was just in preparation for the show. I know Mayor Cavalier Johnson just walked into the studio. He's doing a podcast with Steve Scafidi. And the success of this city is very important to the region. And we should all care about what happens in the city of Milwaukee. Businesses that come, businesses that go, infrastructure, and of course, again, education. So what we have now, though, in the city of Milwaukee, I believe, is a broken education system. You've got the majority of kids can't read or write, and I believe that hurts us all. So how do we fix this? Well, over the last few years, the answer has been to spend more money. And right now, voters will have the opportunity to decide if they want to spend even more money on the Milwaukee Public Schools. Despite a number of red flags that I believe voters need to understand and talk to their neighbors about. Because right now, as I mentioned, there is a full-on effort from a marketing standpoint to support an April referendum in the amount of $252 million. That is the amount of the referendum. And I want to read from an article that was released in the Journal Sentinel yesterday. There's a push for a referendum to support Milwaukee Public Schools. And just yesterday, it gained 2 key endorsements from both the mayor and the county executive. They are signing on to a Vote Yes for MPS committee. So this is a full-on marketing effort to educate voters in the city on why they should vote to increase their property taxes. And this is what voters can do because of levy limits. They can vote to say, yes, I want to invest more in my schools by increasing my property taxes. But I want to share this information because it is very important for voters to understand. And I'm afraid that it could get lost in some of the messaging if the counterpoints aren't made. So the group is asking voters to raise city property taxes to provide MPS with up to $252 million in additional annual funding. They'll vote on the referendum on April 2nd. If approved, the Milwaukee property tax for the next school year would raise by about $2.16 per $1,000 of property value. So what that translates to for a $200,000 home would be an increase of around $432. So every homeowner, so $200,000 home, I don't really think there are that many of those in the city of Milwaukee. You've got, let's just say you have a $400,000 home. So you're looking at almost $1,000 more in property taxes. And that is to fund MPS. And I think, I almost don't know if it's debatable if MPS is necessarily making the business case for those dollars. The leaders say that the referendum is necessary to maintain operations and avoid severe cuts amid rising costs. They say that the future of MPS hangs in the balance if they don't receive this funding. Now, a report from Forward Analytics found that 82% of school districts in the state have called for referendum in the past 3 decades. And many communities vote to put those referendums in place. I live in a community that currently has 2 referendums. They're paying off 2 referendums for schools, and the voters voted for that. And so I just think that, this is something that the community really should be paying attention to. They should be saying, okay, if we spend more money on these schools, what will the outcome be? And I turned to a letter that was written by the MMAC, Metropolitan Milwaukee Association of Commerce CEO, Dale Kuyanga, who has a very, very vested interest in education in Wisconsin, education in Milwaukee, because this organization represents the businesses, the business leaders, and their employees. And they need to have an educated and prepared workforce. But in a day and age when students aren't coming out prepared, are these businesses really going to be on the hook for paying the increased taxes and not receive a better result? And so this letter that was released, it was a public letter. He said that Dale Kuyanga, he stated that he had significant concerns regarding this referendum that's appearing on the April ballot, including the lack of demonstrable plan for use of increased funding and how it translates into improved student outcomes. The second concern is the timing and cost of another referendum. In 2020, there was an $87 million measure on the ballot that the voters approved. So overwhelmingly, they approved this, and they're going back out for more money. The third, and this is where an organization like mine really has a concern, is the impact a property tax increase of this significance will have on home costs. Affordable housing options in Milwaukee are critical to ensuring a stable workforce. And so I think that there are a number of flags here, a number of questions that need to be answered. And I hope if you're a voter out there, if you know someone who lives in the city of Milwaukee, I hope that they will become educated on this issue. We've got a declining enrollment in MPS. We've got a lack of a plan in terms of being able to consolidate school buildings. You've got a lot of things I think that they could do differently. Now, this is very complicated, and I'm not going to solve it by sitting here and talking about it on the radio. Ultimately, the voters decide whether it's this referendum or a referendum in their community. If you want to weigh in on this, please do 855-616-1620. That's the WTMJ talk and text line. Listen, I want to see this city succeed because as Milwaukee goes, the region goes. But I also think that voters need to understand the impact. And also, we need to hold our leaders accountable because I want to see this region get to 1 million in population. I share that vision with the elected leaders. If you want to weigh in, 855-616-1620, that's the WTMJ talk and text line. Big referendum coming down the pike for Milwaukee. It's 1220 on WTMJ.
While you rest on the weekends, we work for you. Wisconsin's Weekend Morning News with Libby Collins. The latest in news.
TMJ4 meteorologist Brendan Johnson. What do you think is really going to happen?
It's going to be a busy week in the weather office for sure.
Entertainment.
Jeff Levering, pleasure to have you here today.
Season opener is right around the corner.
And more.
The weight of a lot of this snow now turning to ice. This is just a really dangerous situation for a lot of people.
Every Sunday morning starting at 8 on WTMJ.
Now, about your house. Eric Brown is the president of Siding Unlimited, your contractor for new windows, roofing, siding, decks, and a whole lot more. He knows about your house. So what do you know, Eric?
Chill in the air or just flat out cold? This time of year we expect the weather to get cold. We know it's coming. But is your home ready? Does the cold air show you what kind of home you really have? Windows that leak air, drafty doors, or just a cold house in general? All of these problems lead to an inefficient home, high energy bills, and an uncomfortable, unhappy homeowner. There can be many temporary solutions, such as wrestling with plastic wrap on the windows, makeshift seals like a towel at the bottom of the doors, or just throwing more blankets on yourself to the point you can't move, fighting a chilly house can be frustrating. There are real solutions, long-term solutions to stop drafts and air leaks. Solutions that maximize energy efficiency, reduce energy costs, and provide a comfort-controlled environment where you, the homeowner, can enjoy the warmth of hanging out at your home once again. Siding Unlimited provides these solutions. Our team can come out and deliver a free estimate to get the project started. We can discuss what makes the most sense for you to regain control of your home. New windows, entry doors, and siding can be the ultimate knockout blow to Mother Nature wreaking havoc in your home. We know this time of the year comes every 12 months. It's time we start preparing, so moving forward, you'll be in total control.
Eric and his crews at Siding Unlimited are your go-to contractor here for replacement windows, roofing, decks, and, of course, siding. They are the best, as acknowledged by the many rewards their suppliers have conferred upon them. Now, take the next step. Check them out at sidingunlimited.com. Siding Unlimited. Siding and a whole lot more.
Welcome back on WTMJ. Just sharing some information here about the upcoming MPS referendum, a $252 million referendum. A marketing campaign has officially been launched to encourage voters to support this what would be a tax increase to support Milwaukee Public Schools. And listen, I sit here and say I care deeply about what happens with the schools. I care more deeply about the outcomes than I do about necessarily the process. I don't care if it's a public school, if it's a choice school, if it's a charter school, if you're homeschooling your kids, right? But education funding is extremely complicated. But when it comes to a referendum, and many communities have different forms and different ballot measures and things like that, when it comes to a referendum that impacts this community, the community in Milwaukee, you have to look at what those impacts are on the homeowners, the property owners, and the renters, and the businesses. 60% of the revenue, the property tax revenue, is from homeowners. We have a lot of people who own houses and own property. And if you are a renter out there, or for all the renters that are in Milwaukee, they will also feel that burden, because when the person who owns that building, the apartment building, they're going to pass that along. They definitely are going to pass that along. But 40% of that revenue comes from commercial property owners. And this is kind of where I have a vested interest to say, how are we engaging these leaders who run businesses to help solve for some of the problems? I know in my industry, we've been looking at some of the vacant schools, or the schools that are underutilized. You've seen this is the latest counts from MPS. There has been a 24% decline in students per building in Milwaukee Public Schools. In the year 2000, there were about 641 students per building, and now there are 490 per building. And there is a huge reluctance and resistance to sell those buildings, or to market those buildings, or give those buildings up. We just had a big kerfuffle. This was a couple of years ago with Milwaukee Academy of Excellence, I believe. They were looking for a new building, and a former Milwaukee public school was available, and they weren't able to buy it because MPS wouldn't sell the building to a competing education institution. And I just think that this is perhaps a little short-sighted in terms of being able to determine the outcome. Like, I want everyone in MPS to succeed, because if they succeed, we'll have more prepared workers for the companies that we continue to ask to move here and invest in our community. Jason in Milwaukee, you're on WTMJ.
How you doing? I appreciate you taking my call.
Yes.
So I live in Milwaukee. I've lived in Milwaukee since I was in 6th grade, and I went to Edison Middle School. I went to Hamilton. I went to Rufus King. My first home that I bought was off of 36 in Greenfield, right behind the Aldi over there.
Yep.
So I live here. I'm from here. And, one of the things that I want to just push back on is that though the referendum would be a great, and I approve that idea because it should be based on the people's opinion, what they want to do.
Yep.
But there's a bigger problem. From outside looking in, you would think, let them solve their own issues. But the problem is the bigger government that's really making it difficult for Milwaukee as it is.
How
you
so?
say for a $2,000 home, you said for $200,000 home, our property taxes will only increase about $1,000. But guess what, though? That $1,000 equals to just over $100 a month. Because when you live paycheck to paycheck, you got to break it down on a month-to-month budget. Because it matters to me when I get paid every 2 weeks, and there's those special months where I get 3 checks instead of 2 checks.
Yeah.
So you got to be mindful, and you got to break it down to that point. And just to get to my point and not take too much of your time, when you say only about $1,000 for $200,000, and then you make the comment that there ain't that many houses like that in Milwaukee. Well, guess what? A lot of houses have been inflated on their cost, so there are a lot of houses in Milwaukee that are like that. Because my home, when I first bought it, was $70,000 when we bought it. Now we just sold it for $170,000. So trust me, and that was a 30 by 90 lot.
Wow.
So there's a lot of inflated, so there's a lot of inflated costs out there right now. So you add that $100-something a month to my budget. Now you add also, don't forget that Milwaukee County just increased our registration costs for our vehicles.
Yes.
So add that additional cost. Don't forget also that We Energy just hit us 2 years in a row with rate increases on our electricity and our gas usage.
Yeah.
So add that on top of the bill. And then lastly, don't stop there. I got one more.
Okay.
Then you add the cost that Progressive on all these local insurance companies just done giving everybody across the board increases on their home and auto insurance.
Yeah.
So when you say $1,000 is even though we want to invest, that's not the problem. The problem is that there's a lot of waste. Yeah. And that's what we need to. And I come from Milwaukee. I went to the schools. I lived there. My wife works there. My kids were born here at St. Joe's Hospital. Milwaukee's my home.
Milwaukee's my home too, Jason. So, from what you know, will you vote yes for this referendum, or do you need to learn more?
So here's my point. I want more funding, definitely, because the schools need it. And the teacher and the quality of the product that's being given out to Milwaukee is low. And you know why? This is the reason why, and this is a controversial subject, and I don't mean to be controversial at this moment, but this is why I was so blessed to be able to take advantage of the choice program, to be able to put my kids in a school, because the school that my kids started at Kazi, where there was 45 kids per classroom, where my son, 3 and 4 years old, was coming home already with bite marks and black eyes.
Wow.
I didn't want that.
Yeah.
So I needed to make a choice, and this is the point. I'm for giving the funding, but we need to also tackle the waste. Trust me, there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of waste.
Yeah. Jason, I love your enthusiasm, and I appreciate this. I think this is what he expresses, what Jason expressed is, I think, a similar frustration to a lot of voters. I mean, I'm not a product of Milwaukee Public School. I did not go to Milwaukee Public School, but there are a lot of people listening who did, and a lot of people who care deeply about its success. And as someone who has a business, does business in Milwaukee, who has a lot of friends in Milwaukee, has a lot of interest in Milwaukee, I care about it too. But is this the right way? Do we throw more money at this? And is supporting a referendum on top of another referendum the best way to do that? I just want to take a few texts from the 414. Referendum tax increases. Older adults, especially on fixed incomes, are getting taxed out of homes by the process. We've paid off our house and paid our school taxes for decades. I don't have many choices to increase our outcomes to cover this irrational poor budget. And even to Jason's point, it's not just your property taxes are going up. It's that your insurance is going up. Your gas bill is going up. All of these costs are going up. And yes, the cost of your home or the price of your home, the value of your home is increasing as well. But then you're just taxed more on it. I mean, that's what happened actually on the last property tax bill, is the assessments went up because of the market. From the 414, sadly, MPS is a failing system. Putting more money to it won't fix it. But the majority of people voting for the referendum don't have kids in the system. A lot are renters, not homeowners, and they don't understand that rents will go up as well. I think that's a really good point. And that's why there needs to be, really, I think, balanced education around it. And balanced education in a way that says, okay, here's what we're going to do and here's what you're going to get if you continue to invest. And this is the great thing about referendums. I can't believe I said the great thing about referendums is that the taxpayers in that area can vote to make that decision, to make that investment. But I think what they also need to do is hold those institutions and those people accountable for results. And I hate to hear the frustration that Jason had. He's kind of throwing up his hand saying, there's so much waste. Where do we start? And there have been plans in the past to kind of blow it up, try to break it up into different districts. And there's just been a lot of pressure to say, no. We have to just continue to keep putting money into the system. All right. We might get to a couple of texts. Otherwise, we'll move on. If you want to weigh in, again, 855-616-1620. That's the WTMJ talk and text line. We're getting out the education advocacy around this issue because it is an issue that will affect everyone. But right now it's 12:33 on WTMJ.
For the latest on Capitol Hill, tune in to CBS's chief Washington correspondent, Major Garrett.
Look, everyone understands a certain amount of privacy. But guess what? You become a cabinet secretary, you give up some of your privacy. That's what comes with the job, and everybody knows. And I would say this as a cabinet secretary in the Obama administration, the George W. Bush administration, the Clinton administration, all of which I covered, the Trump administration, or the Biden administration.
Thursdays at 3:45 on Wisconsin's Afternoon News.
Woo! Hey, this is Ben Brust from Kyle Brust and Nortman on ESPN Wisconsin. People can't stop screaming about the Screamin' Sicilian frozen pizza, and no wonder. There's plenty to scream about, like the buttery stone-fired crust, secret recipe tomato sauce, mounds of whole milk mozzarella, and tons of premium toppings. Find Screamin' Sicilian in your local grocer's freezer and find out for yourself why Sport called Screamin' Sicilian's Holy Pepperoni frozen pizza the best of the best. Screamin' Sicilian, taste what all the screamin' is about.
Do you love winning? This February, head to Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee and fall head over heels with the Love It or Leave It $400,000 game show. Thursday nights, you could play the Love It or Leave It game show where you can love your prize or leave it for another. Play with your club card to earn drawing entries. Top prize is $10,000 in cash. It's time for Love It or Leave It. Only at Potawatomi. Learn more at pacebig.com. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Welcome back on WTMJ. Thanks for all your input on this issue of the MPS referendum. You're going to start to see more communication and information coming out about that, especially in support of voting yes for the referendum. I still have a lot of questions about it and wonder what kind of the accountability will be or what some of the outcomes will be. And hopefully there will be an effort to educate the voters of Milwaukee, because this could be a huge increase in property taxes for the homeowners. It could be an increase in pricing for apartment renters and commercial owners as well. And, as somebody who works with commercial owners, when the commercial property tax goes up, that all gets passed on, right? I mean, this is not something that the evil landlords all have to just absorb. I mean, this gets passed on, especially in that consumer space. I want to hit on this quick because it being in a radio station and behind a microphone, I think about this a lot. Well, this superintendent in Green Bay got in trouble with a hot mic. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with what a hot mic would be, that would be a microphone that you think is off, but is in fact not off. This superintendent, his name was Claude Tiller. He was visiting Atlanta. Okay, so he's in Green Bay and he's visiting Atlanta to recruit teachers from local colleges. And he appeared on a local radio show. He's said to have been caught on a live mic during the commercial breaks, disparaging a subordinate, teachers, and area businesses. The comments were included in an online stream that has been taken down. So if you're familiar with how this works, you might be listening from your car, but you can also watch on the live stream at WTMJ.com. Watch live. That's a plug for the Watch Live. Anyway, when that happens, sometimes the audio might not be turned off. I mean, at this station, I'm pretty sure that when I push the off button, it turns off the microphone for both the radio and for the Watch Live. But nevertheless, this guy in the commercial break was caught with his microphone on, and it was captured on the video. And he was saying disparaging things, including calling someone a B word, I believe, and a W and all of that. And he was just very disparaging to the community and I think specifically to the teachers and subordinates. And so he is on paid administrative leave. The video is no longer available, but the school board is asking for those details to be released. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, it just is disappointing to me that this guy was probably on the radio saying, oh, come to Green Bay. Green Bay's so awesome. I'm the superintendent and we love Green Bay. And then he thinks he's off. And then he's like, yeah, this is garbage. That's so disappointing for me. And it's icky. So I hope that it isn't true. And I hope that maybe some things were taken out of context. But what a shame. But you always got to be aware. You never know who you're talking to. So don't say bad things about people, regardless of where you are. Okay, more when we come back. Right now, it's 12:39.
Vince Vitrano here for Expedia Cruises in Brookfield, inviting your family to ring in the new year at sea. Join my family for a 7-night cruise on Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas. We leave Orlando January 29th, stop in Mexico, Honduras, and Royal Caribbean's private island. Let's celebrate New Year's 2025 together. Come as a couple with the kids or grandma and grandpa. How about bringing everyone on the trip of a lifetime? Let me send you more information on that trip with Expedia Cruises in Brookfield. Email me, vince@WTMJ.com.
Heiser Automotive will help find your perfect vehicle match or give your current vehicle the attention it needs. After all, love is in the details. You'll get spoiled with our sales and service offers and receive our Safe and Sound program with each sale. This includes the exchange program. Don't love it? Exchange it. Convenient service with our new mobile service van. This means we'll come to you. Get lifetime roadside assistance and more. Your vehicle date awaits. At Heiser, today's your day.
See dealer for complete details.
Hi folks, this is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. With the weather getting colder, our prices get even hotter. And at our showroom, you'll see all the top brands of lighting and ceiling fans, such as Visual Comfort, Monte Carlo, and more. Our new in-store visual technology will allow you to find every light and fan from every major brand, including their price and description. And our prices are always the lowest, I guarantee it. If it's lampshades or repairs you need, we do all that too. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for Dad and the kids, and our famous free popcorn. BBC is open Monday through Saturday and is located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue, across from Sobelman's and Bachman Furniture, all near the Potawatomi Casino. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Welcome back on WTMJ. I don't know if a hot mic is like when you don't expect it to be on, or if like a hot mic is just when the microphone's on. So I don't know. That might be a technical term. So anyway, lots of people still texting in about the MPS referendum, and maybe we'll come back to that on Friday. Otherwise, I'm sure you'll hear about it between now and April 2nd. But there is another important election a primary election next week, February 20th, I believe. So if you have a primary in your community, make sure that you are paying attention to that. There's nothing worse than an uninformed voter. So please, please, please go to vote.wi.gov. Yes, and you can find out if you have anything on your local municipal ballot. So we spent a little time in the first part kind of hitting on property taxes, and I want to talk a little bit about my experience in Chicago, tying that to property taxes. So I went down to Chicago about 2 weeks ago, and I hadn't been there probably in 2 years, maybe since the pandemic, I think. And I went down for a concert, and it was the afternoon. It was a Friday afternoon, and we went to Michigan Avenue, and I was really, really surprised to see that what I had heard was actually what I was experiencing in terms of the amount of activity, the amount of dark storefronts, and just kind of the overall kind of feel of the city. And, as I was walking down the street, I noticed that there just weren't as many people. People weren't, as dressed up, I guess, is like a way to think about it. It was just a different vibe overall. And it made me really sad because usually when I go to visit Chicago, it's like, oh, wow, this is so exciting and very, metropolitan. And it's just like it's a treat. And it was just, it made me just realize like, wow, this city has really, really gone in a different direction. And while I don't think we have this in Milwaukee, we really don't want to go down this path. But just to give you an idea of kind of what we're seeing in the Chicago area and comparing that to Milwaukee, I found this article in Bloomberg, and it was about the amount of cranes and construction happening in the city of Chicago. So Rahm Emanuel, who's the former mayor of Chicago, used to say, hey, we have all these cranes in the air. That's a sign of our vitality and about our economic viability. And, we had our mayor Barrett used to talk about his favorite bird was a crane because when there were cranes in the air, right? There's construction, there's development, that's economic progress. Well, since Rahm Emanuel left office, he's had they have almost 5 years after he left office, that number has dwindled to the single digits. There was just one groundbreaking on an office building last year, and 0 are expected in 2024. So as I look around Milwaukee, for example, we have 5 or so, I believe, cranes in the air, some projects, some apartments. We have the Baird Center and all of that. So, I think there is that stark contrast there. Reading further in the article, it's a stark turnaround for the Windy City and a sign of its economic struggles as higher interest rates, inflation, and weak demand for office space squelch appetite for development. It's not only the appetite for development, but the appetite for, even coming downtown, because I believe that there's a lot of momentum associated with, that activity. When you see that development, you see that activity and you feel that buzz and people want to be around that. Now, Mayor Brandon Johnson, who took over last year for Lori Lightfoot, his solution for all of that, his main real estate related measure is not to incentivize developers or incentivize businesses, but rather to increase a transfer tax for property deals of $1 million or more to provide funding for homeless services. And it's called the Mansion Tax Proposal. And it's going to be on the ballot in March, and it applies to both residential and commercial buildings. So, just talk about such an out-of-touch approach to trying to increase economic viability in your community. So it's so disappointing to see for such a beautiful city. And as we know, they call it like the doom loop. It's like once you start to see, not only these empty storefronts, but then crime. One of the things that I saw and I experienced really was just the dissatisfaction with like the cab drivers, the Uber drivers, who, when I would ask them, I'd say, oh, wow, it doesn't seem very busy. What's going on? And they said, well, the mayor won't enforce crime. It won't enforce punishment for crime. People can steal up to $1,000 or something and not even be punished. And so that whole kind of cloud over the city, I think, is going to cause this spiral and this doom loop. And it's really, really sad. Because when these investors pull out, when these companies pull out, the property tax revenue it doesn't exist. And then they can't provide services. And you cannot continue to just tax and tax and tax the people who are there more and more and more and more. They're eventually going to leave. So I don't have that concern necessarily for Wisconsin. And I hope that we continue to lean into pro-economic development policies. You saw that, Wisconsin welcomed Microsoft. That's a huge deal. One of the reasons that we were able to obtain that is our pro-development, pro-economic development policies. We're a right-to-work state. States that have passed right-to-work laws allow workers to choose whether to join a company's union or not. This is a big selling point on the economic development front. And I bring that up because just yesterday, Michigan law, which repealed right to work, went into effect. So their legislature voted to repeal their right to work status. And so I think this is a huge, huge downfall for the state. And as long as we have right to work laws in place, Wisconsin will continue to be an economic driver. And, I hope and pray that we continue to go down this path. Right now it's 12:48 on WTMJ.
Losing sleep lately? The job, the house, the headlines, or investments? How about the feeling your investment partner isn't a partner at all? They might be operating in someone's best interest, but that someone isn't you. It's time for Annex Wealth Management. It's easy. Head to annexwealth.com, click the Get Started button. We work in your best interest as a fiduciary. That commitment runs so deep, we put it in writing. Does your advisor do that? Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management. Start at annexwealth.com.
Set your sights on huge firearm savings this week at Fleet Farm. Save on Top Gun target loads, just $7.99. Get a pair of Walker's Razor electronic earmuffs on sale for only $34.99. Plus, check out our wide selection of firearms from handguns to your dream hunting rifles. We've got it all from the biggest brands like Benelli, Glock, Sig Sauer, and even more in-store and online. Shop all things firearms during the Take Aim sale this week at Fleet Farm.
The reviews are in, and folks seem to like how we do business. And what's more, they can't get over the level of service and real estate expertise they get for far less than what they'd pay an agent from a big-name company. At 3.5 to 3.9%, you'll save up to nearly 50% in commission by choosing a Benefit Realty full-service agent. Everything they do, we do, for up to 50% less. There's no catch. I'm Angela Calais with Benefit Realty, where you pay less for full service. See our success stories at benefit-realty.com. One day, a 3.5 to 3.9% real estate commission structure will be commonplace. But for now, it's not the case. So you can pay 6% for what we can do for about half that, or you can pay less for full service. For some, it's hard to believe, but for our customers, they know it to be true. I'm Angela Calais with Benefit Realty, and our agents understand the meaning of great customer service. And you'll see they're the cream of the crop. So don't pay more than you have to. Pay less for full service with Benefit Realty. Benefit-realty.com.
The historic Fox and Hound Supper Club is hiring positive, upbeat bartenders. You'll make great cash. New food runners are also valued. Parents and grandparents, tell your kids. Inquire today and start next week. Visit foxandhoundsrestaurant.com.
Your nose is for breathing. Your mouth is for eating. And if you're breathing through your mouth, it's not because your body wants to. It's because it has to, because your nose isn't working properly. And although you've lived like this, it's no way to live, and it's having a significant impact on your life. I know you know this, and I know that taking action isn't always convenient. But at Advent, we've done all we can to make changing your life for the better as easy as possible. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. With tens of thousands of our patients, a thorough breathing triangle evaluation, along with a simple 20-minute in-office procedure called balloon sinuplasty, has opened their nasal passages, allowing them to breathe freely through their nose for good. And there's a good chance this procedure can do the same for you. We'll help you breathe through your nose again, and it will change your life.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Welcome back on WTMJ. One of the texters text in about voting, and I misspoke on the address here. It's myvote.wi.gov. If anything, if I can leave you with anything here, it's to be an informed voter. Find out what's on your ballot, find out when your elections are, because there is a primary happening right now in a number of communities throughout the state. One of the texters informed me that early in-person voting is in progress now, generally through Friday, except in the city of Milwaukee, which continues through Saturday. I know I drive past the city's voting location, and you see the signs and the balloons. I mean, you can't miss it if you are doing early in-person voting, especially in the city of Milwaukee. One other texter said, if all people do is sit on their couch and complain, I will tell you, they will keep taxing. And I mean, that is so true. Is like, we have to get out and vote and be informed, especially when there could be a negative impact with no results. And I think that's what we're kind of talking about here with the MPS referendum. One texter said, so could you touch on Madison? Many cranes in the air, but what actually happened to State Street? All right. This is like, this could be the real estate show, and maybe at some point I can open it up and talk about what's happening in Madison. But Madison has incredible development going on right now, not only because of all the apartments that are being built. The population in Dane County is the fastest growing in our state. I mean, it's just enormous. And it's because of their proximity to the university. There's so much healthcare investment, technology investment. You've got Epic Healthcare that's located right in Verona. So you've got a lot of apartments that are being built, tons and tons and tons of cranes in the air. So that's a city that, seems to be doing something right. I mean, if they don't have great commercial real estate development incentives, what they do have is a very, very high quality and very attractive quality of life. I mean, people want to live there. People want to be around other people who are working in that space. So yeah, maybe I'll touch on that later in the show. I have one final show on Friday, which I think will be fun. So I'm getting a lot of ideas. Some people want me to come back to the MPS referendum, and maybe there'll be more information about that. Maybe we'll talk more about commercial real estate as well. So we have a lot of other things to get to, but I just want to update you on this story because we did talk about it earlier in the week. HSHA, St. Joseph's Hospital in Chippewa Falls, as well as HSHS Sacred Heart Hospital in Eau Claire, announced last month that they would be closing, as well as Previa Health primary and specialty care clinics in 10 communities in the area. And my concern is what's happening around rural health care. These nonprofit entities are closing down because they just don't have the staff. There's inflation. There's all these costs. And so these are essentially businesses that can't afford to stay open, can't afford to maintain their business lines in these areas. Well, the state has set aside $15 million for them to maintain their emergency room and stay open. And while this might be nice, it's just not going to be enough. A lot of the people who are around this space, around the decision making, are just saying that, we're leaving. We can't afford to be open any longer. And on Monday, Senator Tammy Baldwin called on HSHS to delay the closures and provide all scheduled services. Well, we've seen a number of lawsuits being filed from some of the providers saying, we have appointments scheduled through April. And if you guys are shutting your doors, we are not going to be able to provide these services. And so I think this is going to get messy, but I ultimately think, these guys have turned the lights off. I don't want to say they're abandoning the community, but things are changing. And the old model of delivering health care is certainly changing. And we see it, I think, most pronounced in those rural communities. So we'll continue to follow that. But right now, know that the Wisconsin lawmakers are trying to help, but it's just a little bit too little, a little bit too late. It's 12:56 right now on WTMJ.
Wake up with me. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 8:15 for Matzik's Morning Minute during Wisconsin's Morning News. Everything you need to know about all your favorite Wisconsin teams in just 60 seconds.
Picked up by Lillard, lobs to Giannis, who thumps it down on the alley-oop.
every Monday and Friday at 8:15 during Wisconsin's Morning News.
Coaching in the arena and your jerseys hanging above you, I can turn to the players and say, guys, I swear to God, I play basketball. Just look up.
Sponsored by Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Steve and Ashley heard our radio ads over the years, and when it came time to buy their first home, clicked on the blue button. One of our senior loan consultants, Brad, sent them a credit-verified pre-approval the same day and then upgraded to a rock-solid, fully verified and guaranteed pre-approval shortly thereafter. They made a couple offers without success, and then Brad told them about AccuNet's new property-specific pre-approval, where we might be able to include those magic words, no appraisal required. When they wrote their next offer, several $1,000s over asking to make sure someone else didn't end up sleeping in their dream home, their property-specific rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval included that most powerful phrase, no appraisal required, and the sellers picked Steve and Ashley's offer over several others. If you think all mortgage lenders and pre-approvals are the same, think again. Go with a local mortgage lender that has the tools and know-how to help you win and save money too. Click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GIFT for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's promo code GIFT.
I had a really strange experience today.
Strange how?
A man walked into the store who was only about 2.5 feet tall.
What?
And he was carrying a bow and arrows.
Did he sort of have a baby face?
Yes. How did you know?
Sarah, that was Cupid.
Oh!
Did he give us a thumbs up?
Yes, 3 times.
So tell us, what are the Cupid-approved gifts for Valentine's 2024?
He loved our diamond stud earrings starting at $198.
We have 186 different styles and sizes.
And we have more than 1,400 pair in stock.
And Cupid loved our $98 diamond pendant.
It looks like it's worth a lot more.
And every purchase of $298 or more includes a fabulous free travel case to safely transport all of your jewelry.
But mostly, he loved the 4-carat total weight wow diamond engagement ring for less than $4,000.
Welcome to Kessler's for Valentine's Day.
Cupid approved.
Find the Kesslers nearest you at KesslersDiamonds.com.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here for one of the very special places in our community. It's Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living. They offer early memory loss classes. They take care of people in your family who have dementia symptoms or other related cognitive declines. I'll tell you what, I've been in their facilities. They're special. They're incredible. I have an aunt who's in a facility. I know what it means to make sure your family's in the right place. That's Azura. It's compassion and empathy. Wisconsin-based and family-owned. It's Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living. AzuraLiving.com.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
Find furniture for life from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Your locally owned hometown station gives you the news and what it means to you. Wisconsin's radio station, News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
Good afternoon, 101. We have partly sunny skies, 45 degrees, cloudy tonight with the rain-snow mix after midnight. Overnight low 34 from the WTMJ Breaking News Center. I'm Connie Weber. An over $2 billion tax package proposed by Wisconsin Republicans moves to the Senate after a 62-34 vote of approval along party lines in the Assembly Tuesday.
The 4 bills would expand Wisconsin's second lowest tax bracket by more than 1 million Wisconsinites, exempt up to $75,000 of income for retirees, and expand tax credits for filers married or with children. While Governor Tony Evers has remained non-committal about the bills, in January, Assembly Speaker Robin Vos said even just one bill passing would be acceptable.
Worst case scenario, he can pick several out of the categories of tax relief to be able to sign them into law and give the relief that Wisconsinites need.
Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Tonight in Heartland, community members will have their first chance to voice concerns to the Arrowhead High School board since students were accused of spreading a message on Snapchat with a racial slur as the caption. TMJ4 News' Sydney Orr was outside the school this morning with a look ahead.
There are no specific items related to this post on the agenda, but there is a section carved out for public comment. Many are hoping the school will implement more ways to tackle tough topics at young ages so students can better grasp how harmful these things can really be.
I can't believe that any young person truly holds hate within their heart. They are simply replicating the things in their environment, things that they think are cool. So what we have to show them is that there's a different way to be cool.
A community conversation scheduled for 6:30 this evening just before the regularly scheduled school board meeting. Second time the charm for House Republicans in their effort to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. After last week's vote failed, the motion was approved by one vote. It's believed to be a near certainty Mayorkas will not be convicted when it heads to the Democratic-controlled Senate. A hearing in Michigan for several charges in a fake elector scheme dating back to the 2020 presidential election.
15 Republican electors in Michigan are accused of participating in a fake elector plot after the 2020 presidential election. At a preliminary hearing, one former elector, 77-year-old James Renner, testified he didn't know how the electoral process worked and never intended to make a false public record. Charges against Renner were dropped last year in exchange for his cooperation and testimony on behalf of the prosecution. Fake electors in Michigan and 6 other battleground states sent certificates to Congress falsely declaring former President Trump the winner of the election in their state, despite confirmed results showing he had lost. Derek Dennis, ABC News.
As Brewers pitchers and catchers prepare to report to Arizona tomorrow, questions remain in the pitching department after the departure of Corbin Burns. Broadcaster Jeff Levering tells WTMJ.
It is going to look different, and I think that the trade of Adrian Hauser to the Mets hurt your depth a little bit, but at the same time, I think they're going to have enough arms to get through. They've got to stay healthy. I think it's a big test for Freddie Peralta. He's ready for it. He's the bona fide ace as you go into the season, but I think that he's ready for it, and he's excited about it.
Brandon Woodruff was non-tendered by the team in November and is expected to miss much of 2024 after undergoing shoulder surgery in October. Lovers of Pop-Tarts toasting their product's creator today. William Post was asked by Kellogg's to create a new breakfast product during the early 1960s, and what he originally called fruit scones became the popular Pop-Tart. Post died at the age of 96. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 24 points. The Nasdaq up 105. The S&P 500 is up 20. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Financial planning at every level. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 104.
This report sponsored by Mr. Holland's Heating and Air Conditioning. Visit MrHollandsHeatingandAir.com.
Candlelight dinners are romantic, but not for 3 weeks straight. Hi, this is Steve from Mr. Holland's Home Services. Sure, the flickering flame of a scented candle can set the mood, but your mood will suddenly sour if the lights stay off for an extended period of time. It happens. Power lines freeze and fall, the grid goes down, along with your refrigerator, microwave, furnace, and internet. And let me tell you, eating cold cuts by candlelight will test even the strongest relationship. But we have the solution to your potential power problems. Let Mr. Holland's Home Services install a brand new whole house backup generator. It's hardwired to your home's electrical network to keep the lights burning and the power churning. You may also qualify for 24 months interest-free financing. Call Mr. Holland's Home Services, 866-992-1717, or visit MrHollandsHomeservices.com. For peace of mind you can't hold a candle to, we can help.
Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik here to tell you about my friends over at the Hounds and Tap in Menominee Falls. It's a state-of-the-art facility and the ultimate hangout for hounds and humans. Grab a drink at the tavern, meet others while your pup enjoys the dog park. That's a mud-free dog park, by the way. Fun, happy, clean, and a great environment for everyone. The Hounds and Tap also provides doggy daycare, boarding, and professional grooming services. We take our greyhound there regularly. Learn more about their services. Check out thehoundsandtap.com. That's thehoundsandtap.com.
Don't just dream of paradise, live it. Escape the ordinary with Fox World Travel and set sail for an island-hopping adventure. With exclusive rates on the world's finest cruise lines, we are proud to partner with Holland America, Princess, and Royal Caribbean and take you to sun-soaked beaches, historic ruins, or the exotic wilderness. Only unpack once and let adventure be your guide. Visit foxworldtravel.com or call 866-GO-FOX-GO and set sail for adventure.
Giannis had 23 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists. Still, the Bucks were blasted by the Heat, 123-97 at Fiserv Forum. Damian Lillard added 16 points for the Bucks, who finished 2-2 on their 4-game homestand. Bucks visit Memphis tomorrow in their final game before the All-Star break. Fourth-ranked Marquette extended its winning streak to 8 in a row with a 78-72 victory over Butler in Indianapolis. Tyler Kolek netted 27 points to pace the Golden Eagles, who improved to 19-5 on the season, 10-3 in Big East play. Marquette visits top-ranked UConn Saturday. Wisconsin put it into its 4-game losing streak with a 62-54 win over Ohio State at the Kohl Center. Stephen Crowell posted 16 points, 10 rebounds to lead the 21st-ranked Badgers, who improved to 17-8 on the season, 9-5 in Big Ten play. UW visits Iowa on Saturday. Taking a look at your roads now with your Johnson & Sons paving time-saver traffic. I-43-94 south at the ramp from Betcher Street. The left shoulder block there due to a crash. No major lane closures or major delays report there, but watch out for some slowing in that area. Otherwise, pretty smooth sailing on the freeways this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores.
St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores, Highway 100 and Layton Avenue, 23rd and Lincoln. Great stores, great cause, and unbelievable bargains. You're going to love it. St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast: cloudy tonight with a rain-snow mix possible after midnight, an overnight low of 34. That wintry mix continues into tomorrow morning with just minor snow totals. High tomorrow 38. Some flurries on Friday, mostly cloudy 31. Partly cloudy Saturday, breezy, chilly, high 32. And Sunday, a little bit warmer, sunshine with a high of 39. Madison 42, Green Bay still 36, and Milwaukee 43 degrees. I'm Connie Weber, Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 108.
It's the middle of the day on WTMJ. Come join the conversation on the WTMJ Talk and Text line at 855-616-1620. Now, here's Tracy Johnson.
Welcome back, Wisconsin, wherever you join us from. I know we're getting texts from across the state, whether you're listening in your car or watching on the internet, WTMJ.com, watch live. Thank you for being with us today. Well, right now, I'm very excited to welcome a very special guest all the way from Washington, D.C., calling in. It is Congressman Scott Fitzgerald, representing Wisconsin's 5th Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives. Just a little background: prior to his election in Congress, Fitzgerald served in the Wisconsin State Senate, representing the 13th District from 1995 to 2021. He served the Wisconsin Senate as the Majority Leader, Minority Leader, Co-Chair of Joint Finance, and Chairman of the Senate Corrections Committee. Also, fun fact, and I didn't know this about you, Congressman, you joined the U.S. Army Reserve in 1981 and retired from service at the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. That's impressive. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Good to be with you, Tracy. Yeah, I had a long career with the U.S. Army Reserves and was able to fully retire and kind of move into that next different phase on my 60th birthday, which was in November. So yeah, it was a very satisfying career.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, not only for your service in that regard, for all you do representing Wisconsin's 5th in Washington, D.C. Tell us a little bit about the mood right now. There's been just countless accounts of bills that have been pushed forward, things that have been passed, things that haven't been passed. What are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I would say overall, I think the House, if you look kind of across the aisle, all members are really concerned about kind of what's going on globally. It's kind of dominated the discussion in a number of the standing committees, but certainly, with what happened in Ukraine, followed by Israel now, and then always kind of this looming concern about China and Taiwan, and it does have everybody kind of in a very serious mood, I think, when it comes to foreign affairs and just kind of where we're positioned on some of those. And then on top of that, I think certainly, I know it's been a little bit more of a political football, but the border and how to address what has become a full-blown crisis that has now been reported on for the last couple of years. And I think there's a lot of members of Congress, including myself, that have been to the border many times at this point and have seen firsthand how bad it is. And so there's a lot of concern about that as well.
Well, right now they're talking about not a combined border bill and a funding bill for Ukraine and other matters. They're breaking this apart, as I understand it. Do you think that we'll make some progress on this border bill, or do you think it's going to be kind of used as maybe a political issue as we move into election season?
No, I think our conference, I think the Republicans in the House are very serious about what we believe is the answer to it, which is H.R. 2, a bill that we've already passed, which would deal with 90% of all the issues that are going on at the border right now. And I would just underscore, I mean, I think for me, the most significant piece of this is the asylum claims. Mm-hmm. We know that the cartels are involved. The cartels have these individuals kind of ramped up, and not only when they come across the border, they know what to say and how to play that game. And they're actually seeking the border agents and Homeland Security officials when they arrive. And I saw that firsthand many times. So it's a greater concern, I think, as we see the numbers. We're over 8.5 million illegal crossings. There's over 1.8 million known gotaways. And we're starting to see the impact in our own state. I had a conversation with a school official last week about what's going on in the very southern part of my congressional seat in Whitewater, mm-hmm. where the district has just been inundated with an influx of new children on the first day of school. And the problem is that these children are showing up unable to speak a word of English. So just think about the kind of demands and the problems that is created. And then within the community of Whitewater, where, there's a huge pressure on municipal services. So, kind of what we're seeing in New York City and what we're seeing in the larger urban areas as those that come across the border illegally end up in some of these cities, it's happening right here in Wisconsin as well now.
So, and it's just a matter of time before it will impact even more cities like Milwaukee or Madison or what have you. I want to move now to the big news, which was the vote to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Do you think there will be a renewed focus by the president to enforce the laws that are already on the books, or kind of to what we were talking about just before? Is this going to continue to be put on the backs of Congress to figure something new out?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, we don't take this decision lightly. It obviously included a lot of wrangling back and forth last week. This has been discussed for some time. I'm a member of the Judiciary Committee, so Secretary Mayorkas has been before the committee numerous times and has been, peppered with questions, including myself, who was able to ask in the last time he was before the committee. I just reiterated a question that had been asked by many members previously, which is, do we have operational control at the border? And once again, Mayorkas went through a number of different descriptions to say, yes, we do, but we were able to kind of nail them down, saying, well, there are certain sectors mm-hmm. in which there's just no way of describing it in that fashion. So I think for a lot of us, the operational control question, which is the second article of the impeachment, really demonstrates that I think that this was a concerted effort to make sure that there was a reversal from the Trump policies. And as a result of that, we find ourselves in the position of having to impeach. And the questions on impeachment, the high crimes and misdemeanors question, I mean, there are a number of members, I think, that may have preferred to go directly after the president, but that's a whole other process that's going on. And I get it. I mean, I'm sure your listeners can get fatigued by, this discussion all the time and what happened in the last Congress. But I still think it was essential. And I think at the end of the day, it does raise the profile of what's going on at the border.
Yeah, and we certainly would prefer that the president enforce the rules that are already on the books. And I think that's where, I think a lot of people get lost in that discussion because you do have a bill before you or, a combination of bills before you that, have some drawbacks. They're not as good as what we have now. And if we just enforce the laws we have now, we would be in a much better place. So I really, really am hopeful that for all the residents and all the immigrants and all the migrants that people want to get here legally, that they can do so without putting a burden on the residents of the United States of America. Congressman Scott Fitzgerald, you spend a lot of time on cybersecurity and have introduced a cyber crime bill and a number of other bills. Can you talk about what's driving that, especially in light of the hearing that was a couple weeks ago with a number of the social media leaders, things like that? What's driving your action on there?
Really, it's as a result of one of my new committee assignments. I was moved from Education and Labor from the last Congress to the Financial Services Committee this Congress. And it's a good fit. There are a number of industries, including the banking community, insurance, certainly credit unions, and then FISERV, right? Financial services and the technology associated with that industry that's really at the forefront. And Wisconsin seems to be kind of right at the crossroads of a lot of this stuff. So it was a good fit to be on the committee. And one of the things that I focused on and have many conversations about is something relatively new, and that's a new kind of basis for cybersecurity. So a lot of it has to do with combating kind of the money laundering that's happening in cybercrime. And also, right now the U.S. code needed to be updated so that it matched up with a lot of the kind of the emerging forms of criminal activity that's in and around some of the digital assets right now. So it's I called and worked with a couple of other members of financial services in a bipartisan fashion to really focus on this. And I think we have a pretty good bill. The Secret Service has the authority and the oversight on investigating a lot of these digital asset cases. And they did in excess of 500 seizures last year. And then a number of cases that probably not only are investigated not only by the U.S., but by some foreign governments. So there's an overlap there as well. But, yeah, this is all kind of cutting-edge stuff, and I think we're trying to give the House more authority to work within financial services to explore these things.
And Congressman, what's great about this is it was done in a bipartisan fashion, and so many things actually get done in Washington, D.C. that we don't talk about, right? We always talk about the things that don't get done, but this is certainly something that, being bipartisan in nature, I think probably has a better likelihood of happening. I want to ask a final question about a special election last night. In New York, for former Congressman George Santos's seat, it was flipped from Republican to Democrat, which shrinks the House majority even further. I think there's a majority right now of 6 seats. So with the election 9 months away, what do you think the main issue is for the voters in Wisconsin?
What we saw in New York last night is kind of unique because the entire state was redrawn before this last election cycle. So a lot of the districts had really changed significantly, and I don't think we knew how this was going to play out last night. I'm disappointed that we didn't get our candidate across the finish line. But I think in Wisconsin right now, I mean, I just did office hours in Brookfield on Thursday last week, and we had a good showing of constituents that were there, and we kind of left it wide open to what they wanted to talk about. And it was varied, but again, a lot of people very concerned about the border. And I think that's because people are getting kind of a steady diet, and they're very aware of it because it's just gotten worse and worse and worse over the last 3 years, to the point where people are becoming very concerned about it. And, there's other issues out there. Certainly Israel is something that constituents are bringing up, concerns there. And like I said earlier, the Russian aggression and the war in Ukraine. So it's, it's a mix of a lot of those national issues along with the border that seem to be on people's minds right now.
Well, and what was interesting about that border discussion, I heard this comment. Earlier, particularly as it pertains to New York. This candidate was Democrat Tom Suozzi, who won in this special election to succeed George Santos. The Republican candidate, was actually pushing really the border and really running on the issue of the border. And this Democrat still won, which I think is interesting. But your point about the fact that the lines had already been redrawn, I think gives me a little bit more, more context for what really happened there.
Well, the converse was true too, in that, Suozzi talked a lot about the border as well. So, you had kind of an overlap where both candidates were talking about that issue. Politically, I know the Democrats understand that there's an issue there that they're going to have to work through. So there seems to have been a little bit more openness to that. But the U.S. Senate has kind of been on their own path with, obviously, this foreign aid package, which is going to be wholeheartedly rejected by the House. So it puts us back kind of to square one. And I go back to H.R. 2 and the bill that we passed. The answer right in front of us, along with President Biden actually utilizing some of these tools that are still available to him, to instead of reversing what President Trump did, I think he should be embracing them, and it would help at the border a lot right now.
Congressman Scott Fitzgerald from Wisconsin's 5th, thank you so much for your time today, and good luck, and thank you for all that you do in Washington, D.C.
Thanks, Tracy. It was great to be with you. Thank you very much.
All right, have a great day. It's 1:24. We'll be back with more after the break.
This is Libby Collins. Join me Sunday morning at 11 a.m. when we talk with someone who says he really wanted to be the Asian George Clooney, but ended up in Milwaukee as the head of NPR. David Lee joins us.
I went to a performing arts high school where I studied drama and theater. I liked having the freedom to be sort of a weirdo and play and fail and have it be okay.
WTMJ Conversations, Sunday mornings at 11 on WTMJ.
Make a stop at the Harley-Davidson Museum before heading out to the Mama Tried Motorcycle Show. They'll have food and drink specials from the motor bar and restaurant. Explore their newest exhibit, Mama Tried, bringing it together, and take a free shuttle to the rave for Saturday's show. The HD Factory Outlet Sale in Rumble includes fantastic deals on end of season and discontinued Harley-Davidson motor clothes and merchandise. Don't miss the fun pre-show gatherings. Thursday, February 22nd through Sunday, February 25th at the Harley-Davidson Museum.
Hey, if you're sick and tired of those achy joints and dread the idea of surgery, it is time to call QC Kinetics. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. The state of healthcare is always evolving. The old ideas like steroids and surgery are no longer your only options. Try regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics. It's transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, and drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Talking about knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, pain from arthritis or injury. Don't let the pain keep you from living your best life. Call QC Kinetics. Their advanced and state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. It's a revolutionary approach that will help you achieve long-term relief with no downtime. So make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility, your independence. Get out, walk, run, and play and live without the danger and trauma of surgery and without harmful drugs. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. 414-285-3474. QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. Outdoor living is a cherished experience here, especially in the warm season. Outdoor Living Unlimited is a local family-owned company that will revolutionize outdoor living at your home. Visualize your home and yard with an in-ground pool, screen room, pergola, patio, pavers, deck, even an outdoor kitchen. Get with Outdoor Living Unlimited and put that dream into action. The honest, reliable artists and craftsmen will be honored to work with you. OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Welcome back on WTMJ. Big thanks to Congressman Scott Fitzgerald for joining us, giving us some perspective on what's happening in Washington, D.C. as it relates to the border, as it relates to the impeachment of Homeland Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, all of that. So very great insights. You can catch that if you missed it on WTMJ Extras after the show concludes at 3:00 today. So I want to bring this, and we just kind of drop some of these interesting little articles at the bottom of the hour here. I don't have TikTok, okay? I don't have TikTok. I don't let my kids have TikTok because I'm listening to all the concerns about TikTok. And what I saw this article about President Biden, his campaign joining TikTok. And apparently President Biden's reelection campaign released its first ever TikTok on Sunday during the Super Bowl. So if you recall, President Biden didn't take advantage of the opportunity to do the interview before the Super Bowl, which is granted to every sitting president before every Super Bowl. But instead, he put out a TikTok. So I watched the TikTok actually on YouTube because, again, I don't have TikTok. And it was cute, I guess. It was like, do you like the Chiefs or the 49ers? And then he asked about the quarterbacks. And then at the very end, he said, President or Biden or Trump? And he said Biden, of course. But it was I guess, a cute TikTok. But I was surprised to see that we have President Biden on this platform that he basically doesn't allow government entities to be a part of. And it's kind of like a contradictory to me. You know, I don't go on TikTok because I've been told that there are security issues and that, you know, it eats kids' brains. And I mean, it's not a good look. So I was surprised that in light of all of the scrutiny that TikTok receives as an app, that you would see the president of the United States just say, hey, if you can't beat him, join them. So this video garnered about 5 million views by Monday at noon. I'm sure it's up there, you know, since then. And even though President Biden had expressed security concerns regarding whether ByteDance or TikTok, ByteDance, which is TikTok's parent company, could share user data with China's authoritarian government. So there are real security concerns to the point that President Biden actually signed a measure that doesn't allow government use of TikTok. And so his campaign is doing it. I mean, but this is where all the kids are. And so I understand why a campaign would want to be a part of it, but I just think it's conflicting messages and confusing. And by the way, I still am not going to get on TikTok because all of these apps just confuse the heck out of me. All right, it's 1:29 on WTMJ. We'll be back with more. After the break, we're going to talk about body cam legislation. There is an interesting piece of legislation circulating, and I'm going to want you to weigh in on it. It's 1:30 on WTMJ. We'll be back with more.
Wisconsin's Morning News.
The EMS system here worked as designed.
It did not.
Listen to Vince Vitrano every weekday starting at 6 a.m.
The video simply does not support the claim that Mrs. Waldrop was obscured by a snowbank. Alderman Lamont Westmoreland, that's his district. This is his statement. I've met with MFD Fire Chief Aaron Lipsky. I am 100% confident that there will be standard operating procedure updates, changes that will strengthen protocols to reduce the chance of this type of incident reoccurring. Good. There should be changes.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Steve and Ashley heard our radio ads over the years, and when it came time to buy their first home, clicked on the blue button. One of our senior loan consultants, Brad, sent them a credit-verified pre-approval the same day and then upgraded to a rock-solid, fully verified and guaranteed pre-approval shortly thereafter. They made a couple offers without success, and then Brad told them about AccuNet's new property-specific pre-approval, where we might be able to include those magic words, no appraisal required. When they wrote their next offer, several $1,000s over asking to make sure someone else didn't end up sleeping in their dream home, their property-specific rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval included that most powerful phrase, no appraisal required, and the sellers picked Steve and Ashley's offer over several others. If you think all mortgage lenders and pre-approvals are the same, think again. Go with a local mortgage lender that has the tools and know-how to help you win and save money too. Click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Here's a penny for your thoughts. There's about 11,000 tire-related crashes every year.
Mostly due to driving around on underinflated, beat-up, worn-out tires with low tread.
A couple of clicks at richlawns.com will get you scheduled for a free tire tread test.
But if you're pressed for time, there's an old trick we use in the tire industry that'll tell you if you need tires.
And that's free too.
My dad showed me, who learned it from his dad, who learned it from someone else way back in 1964.
Ah, yes, the old penny test.
Yep, just place a penny head first.
As in upside down.
Into the groove of your tire. Now, if you can see the top of Lincoln's head, you're due for tires.
And hey, if the free penny test frazzles you, book an appointment at richlawns.com.
If your tires are good,
no harm, no foul, because it won't cost you a penny. Be safe, buckle up, and hang. Always make sure you've got good tread on your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Rich Lawns. You're
due for service.
Such a refreshing change. Rich Lawns.
Welcome back on WTMJ. Once again, thank you for Congressman Scott Fitzgerald for joining us. I have to say this because I sometimes think people forget that I'm a fill-in host. All right, some people are saying, why didn't you go hard on that guy? Why didn't you ask him about Trump? Why didn't you ask him about NATO? And here's the answer, is I work with all of these people in my job, and I cannot tick people off. That's not my job, and I don't come on the airwaves in order to sabotage my career. So I know that Scafidi and Mercure would have asked them really tough questions, but I need to work with these elected officials to actually get legislation done. So thank you for listening. And yeah, stay tuned in. All right. That's all I got. I get to interact with the texters. This is funny. All right. I want to turn to this now. A Wisconsin body cam video. All right. So there has been a lot of discussion, and I don't know all the historical details about requiring body cam video in the state of Wisconsin. All right. I set that out there, but that's not the main issue. Just know that there are rules and regulations about municipalities that must use body cam, must provide body cam, and how body cam is paid for. So right now, police departments across Wisconsin said that they are being inundated with requests for body-worn camera video. And legislation could make getting that video a lot more expensive. So if you're familiar with what the body-worn camera video is, this is, the cameras that the officers will have on their person, and when they pull someone over or they're involved in a chase, it records all of what's happening, right? And so either attorneys or media, they will request that video. But before they're able to hand over that video or release the video, they have to review it for sensitive information. Right now, they're not allowed to charge for the time that it takes to blur things out or add black squares or pixelation, but that could change. So, when there's a body-worn camera and you're picking up this video, you're picking up the faces of kids who are standing by, people who are innocent, all kinds of things that, again, these departments have to work through and edit in order to protect the privacy of the community. But there's a cost to that. So when it comes to transparency in law enforcement, body-worn cameras give the public a front row seat. There's a legislator who is penning legislation that would actually require people who requested video to pay for it. All right? He said that the demand for video is overwhelming these police departments with a costly administrative burden. Reading from the article, just an influx of requests for this information, said Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt, who is president of the Badger State Sheriff's Association. I've had to add this year in 2024 an $80,000 a year position strictly for redacting and releasing of these videos. Before police can release a video, they have to redact sensitive information, like the faces of juveniles of crimes, by blacking out or pixelating the video and silencing sensitive audio. He said that for every hour of video, on average, it takes an hour and a half to go through and redact it. And that is a incredible expense. And I had no idea about this. So there's a pair of bills in Madison that would allow police to charge a fee for the time spent in making those redactions. But there are people, obviously, who are against this because, you know, this is an additional cost to people like journalists who are already cash strapped, or to attorneys for their clients, because this all gets passed on. And so I wonder, and I ask, is this a good idea for police departments, for communities to charge for this service? 855-616-1620. That's a WTMJ talk and text line. If you want to weigh in, I mean, should individuals requesting body cam video have to pay for it? Right now, they don't have to. And as somebody who has made open records requests, and that's not exactly what we're talking about, but it does kind of have the same process. You make that request, and then ideally you would receive it in a reasonable amount of time. And I know different communities have different time frames in which that request would be fulfilled. But should communities be charging for this video? 855-616-1620. That's the WTMJ talk and text line. You know, there's a lot of pushback from this. But at the same time, here's another way to look at it. If you have cable or if you have YouTube, there are a lot of influencers who request this video and then they turn it around and put it on the internet. They put it on, you know, their car chase channel. You know, so this could be a way to tamper that, to stop that. 855-616-1620. That's the WTMJ talk and text line. Should communities charge for body cam video? More when we return. It's 1:38.
Jason Rose is the president CEO of AccuRite Tax and Financial Services. They have document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
I think it's very accurate to call it a partnership because it's more of a relationship that you build up over time.
And your practice has had document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems for years.
Yep, they know what you need, they know how to help, they're able to provide suggestions on future improvements or changes.
James Imaging Systems, a 100% Wisconsin-owned and managed business technology company. Here for you today, helping you plan for the future.
It's a great deal. James Imaging is the real deal.
And Jason, the bottom line for your practice?
Keep us up and running, especially during tax season.
Keep your business up and running with document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com. James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
Kaiser Automotive will help find your perfect vehicle match or give your current vehicle the attention it needs. After all, love is in the details. You'll get spoiled with our sales and service offers and receive our Safe and Sound program with each sale. This includes the exchange program. Don't love it? Exchange it. Convenient service with our new mobile service van. This means we'll come to you. Get lifetime roadside assistance and more. Your vehicle date awaits. At Heiser, today's your day.
See dealer for complete details.
Hey, Brian. I think it's time to get serious about new windows and front door for our home.
I agree. It will save us money in the long run to eliminate the draft.
I was thinking more about our curb appeal, but yes, the draft thing too.
J&J Contractors in Greendale have been around for 40 years and have great reviews.
Go give them a call.
J&J Contractors' skilled and certified team uses high-quality materials for all your exterior needs. J&J Contractors do it all. Windows, doors, siding, roofing, and gutters.
Welcome back on WTMJ. Police accountability is necessary in any community. Over the last decade, body cameras have become one of the primary ways for the public to get that information, whether it's to help with cases, whether it's help with convictions, or to hold police accountable. But a new bill in the Wisconsin legislature could allow law enforcement agencies to charge for people to access these public records. At the same time, some agencies have begun refusing to name police officers accused of or killing and injuring people on the job, some citing Marsy's Law. So we've got some changes coming down the pike with regard to public's access to these body cam videos. And these police departments are saying, we need to take time and edit these videos. And we want to be able to charge for the time it takes because this is not part of our budget. And is this a good idea? 855-616-1620. That's the WTMJ talk and text line. Mary in Pewaukee, you're on WTMJ.
Good afternoon. Absolutely. The police department should be able to charge for this. If these costs are so high that they actually have to hire create a position and hire someone new, then they are taking money away from something else, which could be community protection, other services. So this is what I used to work for a state agency. This is what we would call an unfunded mandate, a requirement upon an agency that is not funded, that increases their costs. And they certainly, I'm not saying the state should pay for it, but certainly those requesting that record should have to pay for the preparing of the record.
Yes, Mary, thank you for the call. Mary makes a great point that, an unfunded mandate. So you've got the public saying, we have the right to this information. So I need this information. And these police departments are saying, okay, yes, I get it. That's the point. But it takes a lot of time to edit this. And we have to do that for the privacy of the individuals and to the innocent and to the children and all of that. And so these videos, it appears, in looking at what the cost would be, there was an estimate done. The actual cost isn't known exactly. If you use staff time to calculate that, imagine the staff member makes $50 an hour in salary and benefits. If it takes 10 hours to review and redact all the video in one incident, that's potentially a $500 fee. So these could go up quickly. Now, in looking at some of the pushback, it seems that a lot of the pushback is actually from journalists who are requesting this. I mean, how do you usually see body cam video, right? So much of it is shared through the news and through the news outlets. And so they're saying, wait a minute, we don't have the budget for this either. How do we solve for this? All right, Mike in Crystal Lake, you're on WTMJ.
Yeah, hi. Hey, I'll use your number. It's going to cost them $500 to redact the video. Are they going to charge me $500 to get a copy of it?
Yeah, I mean, that's
okay, and then what about the other 20, 30, 40, 50 people who also request a copy of it? That's $500 a piece. That's a heck of a revenue generation for the police department.
See, I like how you're thinking on this. Mike makes a great point from Crystal Lake. From Crystal Lake, I mean, we're always looking for new ways to generate revenue, but then does that kind of cross the line between, is this for the public good and is this a public benefit or is this a profit center for the organization? I think, what they're proposing right now is to say we're not necessarily looking to make a profit. And perhaps if there were multiple requests, there would be some sort of savings. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but an interesting conversation nonetheless. Mike from Illinois, you're on WTMJ.
Good afternoon, Tracy. How are you?
Excellent. Thanks for calling.
Sure. So I don't necessarily have a problem with them charging, but for me, it depends on the entity that's asking for it.
Okay.
Certainly if it's a private citizen or even an attorney, perhaps they should be being charged. I'm not as comfortable as perhaps a news outlet. I guess they should pay their, a separate entity as well. But I just don't want to see a point where there's no access to it because I do believe the public does have a right. Now, you do have to protect, police that are in the video and even the person, which a lot of times when you see these videos, there are people that are blacked out, and I think that's the way it should be. I just don't want to get to a point where there's no access to it because I do believe the public has a right to see it.
Yeah, no, thanks for the call, Mike. One interesting thing that I found in reading through some of the, back and forth was that, once this is done, so once it's produced, you have a file, right? I mean, if the news is asking for it, or if it's a private citizen asking for it, or if it's an attorney asking for this information, it's the same video. All right. So the time has been invested. What we don't know and what I don't know is if these videos are how they're shared. So I would assume that once, TMJ4 has it on their website, that's public domain. And so I don't think you'd have multiple people necessarily requesting this video. But nonetheless, I think there is a responsible conversation going on right now. I mean, a lot of these body cam laws were put into effect, less than 5-10 years ago in terms of the requirements, and how interesting to think about the evolution of this issue, because anytime you have this technology, yes, it makes things easier, but then, that editing, you're adding that layer of complication, and our community's willing to pay for it. Are they willing to foot the bill in order to make this available for everyone in the public? So interesting conversation. We'll continue to take reaction if you want to weigh in. Should law enforcement be able to charge for body cam video? 855-616-1620 on WTMJ. If there's more response and reaction, we'll take it. If not, we will move on. But right now it's 147 on WTMJ.
Our mission is to protect and uphold our reputation. At Semper Fi, it's the banner we all march under, because the reputation we earn and uphold belongs to all of us. And without a strong reputation in the exterior remodeling business, you're here today and gone tomorrow. And when you've earned a good reputation, that's what makes the difference in value. It's the little extra that you get for the price. And that assurance is actually what counts the most, because it means the good money you're spending with us is not going to go to waste. A roof you can rely on, with a warranty that has a backbone. Craftsman quality airtight window and door installations. Brick and stone masonry that's clean and sharp. And new siding that's been known to stop traffic. And it's all backed by a team that over the last 20 years have put a lot of heart and soul into building a reputation that you can believe in. This is Brad Youngbluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
Hey, it's Valentine's Day. Don't forget your sweetheart. There's still time to enjoy a great dinner for under $10 at the amazing Mine Shaft restaurant in Hartford. WTMJ's John Mercure here. I love the Mine Shaft, locally, family-owned for over 46 years. The all-you-can-eat cod, perch, shrimp, or poor man's lobster dinner is just $9.99. $9.99. And desserts are buy one, get one free. I love the desserts, even on Valentine's Day. So order your favorite steak, pasta, a fresh salad, a cool big burger, all super affordable, and you can sip on an old-fashioned, a Manhattan, an ice-cold brew, or your favorite glass of wine. Now that is a perfect Valentine's Day dinner. Where would you be without your sweetie? Go out for dinner to the Mine Shaft for under $10. It's in beautiful downtown Hartford, lots of seating and close parking, the most affordable Valentine's Day dinner destination in the area. Tables are still open for your Valentine's Day dinner for under $10. It's the Mine Shaft.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
Are you tired of being tired? Go to AdventKnows.com.
Better days start with a better night's sleep on a mattress from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in Milwaukee, our mattresses are custom built to your needs. We have all the comfort and firmness options to give you your best night's rest. Buying direct from our factory showrooms will save you up to 50% compared to national brands. Shop today during our New Year's sale at Ken Michaels Furniture for over 75 years of uncompromising quality, local factory direct saving, and your best night's sleep. Start the new year right with Norwalk Furniture on sale now at Ken Michaels Furniture. Save 35% on showroom pieces that are ready for immediate delivery, or in just 35 days, you can create a look that reflects your unique style with over 850 fabric and leather options and comfort levels, from cuddling to extra firm support. Norwalk Furniture's American roots go back over 102 years. For better quality American-made upholstery, shop the Norwalk Upholstery Sale at any Ken Michaels Furniture locations in Greenfield, Brookfield, or downtown.
Welcome back on WTMJ. Should law enforcement agencies be able to charge for body cam video? There is a piece of legislation circulating right now that would allow departments to be able to do this. And is this a good idea? I love this discussion. I'm going to read from the text line after we hear from John. What do you think?
I don't think that they should charge for it.
a FOIA request for body cams. It stands for Freedom of Information Act. The operative word being free. We shouldn't have to pay for transparency. What do they have to hide? And there shouldn't be any editing of any body cam footage, which is the purpose behind requesting the footage, because we want to know what happened, as the type of it happened, and have it being an accurate account.
Yeah.
Unedited, unbiased, fully transparent.
Yeah, John, I agree.
It's just the cost. Like the old song goes, freedom isn't free.
Yeah. So my question, though, John, and this is so interesting that you brought this up. There are actually a lot of people that say exactly what you say, right? That we should not even be editing this video, but there are privacy concerns, and so to protect.
There is no.
Go ahead.
Okay, whatever the camera sees.
Yeah, there's cameras everywhere.
Private. When you're out. Exactly. Every bank, every cash machine, all that kind of stuff, all have cameras. Are you going to stop them from recording as well? So whatever's captured, either purposefully or inadvertently on a body cam, is not private, because when you're out in public, there is no expectation of privacy in a public place.
John, thank you so much. It should be free.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I taking that conversation to another level, right, is, when you go out in public, when you go to a grocery store, a lot of cities and municipalities have cameras on the streets, right? And sometimes I'll watch them because I'm curious about what's happening in Key West, Florida, or Miami, Florida, or whatever. But there isn't that expectation except here on this body cam video. So should these municipalities be redacting any information in the first place? And now I don't think that's the purpose of this bill. It's more about allowing these municipalities and these agencies to be able to offset the cost. I want to go to the text line from the 262. Once it's redacted, it doesn't need to be redacted again. You can't charge the full amount to the first person and then the people thereafter. I think that I agree with that. From the 734, what's the reason for blurring the faces? There's no expectation of privacy in public. From the 414, Tracy, no, they should not be able to charge for the video. They should just budget for it and assign a 20% FTE or full-time equivalent to that role. So I think there's a lot of kind of back and forth here. In the beginning, though, it's like, how do we offset this? And I know that this is the Freedom of Information Act, and there's all these rules around the public's access to this information. But when right now the protocol calls for the redaction, okay, so that's just where it is. How do we reconcile that? If an officer or a full-time person has to be taking the time to be editing these videos because you have so many people, rightly or wrongly, requesting them, that is really at the crux of this. And I don't know that you can say, well, we'll give it to a news agency, but we won't give it to a private citizen, or we won't give it to a YouTuber or an influencer, which is actually identified as one of the issues. Is these people, they're not ambulance chasers, but they kind of are. They listen to the police scanners, they listen for the police reports, and then they say, oh, I want this information. And I can't imagine what the burden is like just to respond to them. I know that many agencies that have to fulfill those requests for information on an open records request, that is a complicated process, and it is time consuming. But, in a society where we have this access and freedom of information, we need to be able to reconcile. So interesting discussion. Thanks for playing along. All right. It's 1:56 on WTMJ. The news is next, but I want to tease this next topic. It has to do with scammers. All right. And I'm not scamming you. It has to do with scammers. You'll want to stay tuned for that. 1:56 on WTMJ.
Got game?
What was the question?
Yeah, we've got game. we've also got...
Swims through his man and lays it in as he knifes his way into the low block.
And...
He'll give to Giannis, and he says, I'll add some more to my tally. Thank you very much.
And who could forget?
Pulls up top of the arc. He got bumped, and he hit the three. Count that, baby, with another one coming.
Catch every Milwaukee Bucks basketball game all season long on your home for the Bucks. 620 WTMJ.
Hi, folks. This is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. Now that St. Paul Avenue is finally repaired, parking is easy for shopping at our showroom, where you'll see the newest styles of LED lights, chandeliers, ceiling fans, lamps, and mirrors. We sell every major brand, such as Visual Comfort, Tech, Hubbardton, and hundreds more. And our prices are the lowest. I guarantee it. If it's lampshades or repairs you need, we do all that too. BBC is an illuminating experience for the whole family to enjoy, including our famous free popcorn. We're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and Saturday 10 to 4. BBC is located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue near Potawatomi, Sobelman's, and Bachman Furniture. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Goodyear, Dunlop, Kelly, Continental, General, you name it, we got it.
Plus, free flat tire repair, free tire rotations, and more.
So when you're due for tire service, schedule it at richlawns.com.
That's Rich Lawns with 2 N's.
Rich Lawns.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Steve and Ashley heard our radio ads over the years, and when it came time to buy their first home, clicked on the blue button. One of our senior loan consultants, Brad, sent them a credit-verified pre-approval the same day and then upgraded to a rock-solid, fully verified and guaranteed pre-approval shortly thereafter. They made a couple offers without success, and then Brad told them about AccuNet's new property-specific pre-approval, where we might be able to include those magic words, no appraisal required. When they wrote their next offer, several $1,000s over asking to make sure someone else didn't end up sleeping in their dream home, their property-specific rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval included that most powerful phrase, no appraisal required, and the sellers picked Steve and Ashley's offer over several others. If you think all mortgage lenders and pre-approvals are the same, think again. Go with a local mortgage lender that has the tools and know-how to help you win and save money too. Click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Do you check your savings account and wonder if you're even saving at all? At Town Bank, we view banking differently and actually want to see your savings grow. With our amazing new CD rates, you can now earn even more, so you can sit back and relax. Stop banking the same way, expecting different results, and start earning more. Go to townbank.us/locknewrates or visit a Town Bank branch nearest you today. Bank differently with Town Bank. Member FDIC.
Sharks. Most people see them as a threat, but we see a potential cure. At UW Health Carbone Cancer Center, we're the only team in the world researching whether antibodies from sharks can be used to fight cancer. A discovery that would revolutionize the future of cancer care, turning possibilities into remarkable realities. So one day, instead of what if, we can ask, what's next? UW Health Carbone Cancer Center. Remarkable.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Your hometown hub for everything that matters. The latest news, traffic, weather, and sports on Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 2 o'clock, it's partly sunny, 45 degrees. Tonight, a rain-snow mix moves in, a low of 34. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm John Mercier. An over $2 billion tax package proposed by Wisconsin Republicans moves to the Senate after a 62-34 vote of approval along party lines in the Assembly.
The 4 bills would expand Wisconsin's second lowest tax bracket by more than 1 million Wisconsinites, exempt up to $75,000 of income for retirees, and expand tax credits for filers married or with children. While Governor Tony Evers has remained non-committal about the bills, in January, Assembly Speaker Robin Vos said even just one bill passing would be acceptable.
Worst case scenario, he can pick several out of the categories of tax relief to be able to sign them into law and give the relief that Wisconsinites need.
Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
A vote on the proposals has not been scheduled yet in the Senate. A South Carolina teenager is safe, and the Wisconsin man accused of kidnapping her and taking her across state lines is in custody.
The 13-year-old girl initially was listed as a runaway after she disappeared from her home near
border security. But the White House made it clear Wednesday the president has no interest in having that conversation as Johnson holds up the Senate-passed bipartisan bill and demands the same kind of border deal he killed just last week. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
What is there to negotiate? Really, truly, what is the one-on-one negotiation about when he's been presented with exactly what he asked for?
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
The Rosebud Cinema in Wauwatosa reopens this evening after 4 years away. The 83-year-old theater has been closed since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. The last few years have seen several theaters close around Milwaukee, including the Downer last fall, and the Times Cinemas shift away from regular film showings. The Rosebud will begin screening the new Marvel superhero movie Madame Web tonight at 6:30. And now, an amazing love story that continues to bloom every Valentine's Day. It's the story of a Northern California couple.
John and Diana Maver were married for 47 years.
We actually met in high school.
They have 3 children. John died in 2017, but their love story continues. He somehow, nobody knows how, set it up so every Valentine's Day, flowers arrive from him for his now 77-year-old wife, their daughter, Marilyn.
Every year, a bouquet of flowers shows up on her doorstep.
With a note from John. She says her mom's face lights up every Valentine's Day. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Stocks bouncing back after yesterday's really terrible day. The S&P 500 up 28 points. The Dow is up 49. The NASDAQ up 130. Great time for your retirement and investment strategy review from a fee-only fiduciary. Go to annexwealth.com. Click the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather up next. Citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time 2:04.
Make a stop at the Harley-Davidson Museum before heading out to the Mama Tried Motorcycle Show. They'll have food and drink specials from the motor bar and restaurant. Explore their newest exhibit, Mama Tried, bringing it together, and take a free shuttle to the rave for Saturday's show. The HD Factory Outlet Sale in Rumble includes fantastic deals on end of season and discontinued Harley-Davidson motor clothes and merchandise. Don't miss the fun pre-show gatherings. Thursday, February 22nd through Sunday, February 25th at the Harley-Davidson Museum.
Hey, Gene Miller here. The heart of winter is the best time to call my friends at Hometown Windows and Doors. Save heating and cooling dollars down the road with energy-efficient replacement windows and doors from brands like Pella, Anderson, Marvin, and more. Hometown is your local source for wood, vinyl, or fiberglass, plus all of their products are installed by employee carpenters. Stop into their newly remodeled showroom in New Berlin and see the Hometown difference. That's Hometown with an E for your every window and door need. HometownWindows.com.
Patients everywhere are experiencing joint pain relief thanks to QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. So how does this non-surgical approach work? QC Kinetics Medical Director Dr. Aaron Wolkoff explains.
It's like when you get a paper cut and the cells that come onto that scene first stop the bleeding and then it recruits more cells to form new skin and new soft tissue. And then you look down a week later, 2 weeks later, and it's like nothing happened and that paper cut never existed.
In this same way, QC Kinetics uses your natural biologics to help repair and restore aching knees, hips, shoulders, and backs.
We take those same similar cells in different areas that are arthritic, are painful, and we cause this kind of internal self-healing that can resolve patients' pain.
Relief without surgery. See if you're a candidate for QC Kinetics regenerative treatments.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update. Giannis Antetokounmpo just missed a triple-double, and the Bucks were blasted by the Heat, 123-97 at Fiserv Forum. Giannis had 23 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists. The Bucks visit Memphis tomorrow in their final game before the All-Star break. And the Brewers will hold their first workout with pitchers and catchers tomorrow in Phoenix. The first full squad workout will be on Tuesday. The Brewers will then begin spring training play February 24th against the Padres in Peoria. Look at those roads. Hey, pretty good news this afternoon. Everything's quiet, no slowdowns, and no delays. The WTMJ 5-day forecast. Tonight, a rainy snow mix after midnight, a low of 34 degrees. It continues tomorrow morning, 1 to 3 inches north along the interstate a little bit, and mostly rain south of I-94. On Friday, flurries a high of 31. Saturday, breezy, a high of 32. Sunday, sunny, a high of 39 degrees. Right now in Madison, mostly clear skies and 43 degrees. In Green Bay, 37 and partly cloudy. And in Waukesha, 41 degrees and lots of sunshine. 45 sunny in Milwaukee. I'm John Mercure, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:07.
It's the middle of the day on WTMJ. Come join the conversation on the WTMJ Talk and Text line at 855-616-1620. Now, here's Tracy Johnson.
Welcome back, Wisconsin. 2:08. Great to be with you on this Wednesday afternoon, this Valentine's Day, this first day of Lent. However this day finds you, I hope it is well. All right. So whenever I see headlines that have big dollar numbers in them, they catch my attention. And this one from Axios certainly did that. It says, U.S. adults lost a record $10 billion to fraud in 2023. And, it makes me think about, okay, so fraud, it could be lots of different things. It could be scammers. It could be wire fraud. It could be theft. It could be all of these different things. And I think if you're listening right now, you're thinking, okay, yeah, I remember seeing a text that looked suspicious, or I remember getting a call from an entity that I thought I trusted and it was suspicious and I didn't do something, or someone who may have fallen for the bait. So let me read you a couple numbers here. So again, U.S. adults lost a record $10 billion to fraudsters in 2023, according to new Federal Trade Commission data. More Americans fell for a variety of scams, including those related to investments, business decisions, romance, and government services last year. Fraudsters tricked roughly 690,000 people into giving them money during a scam, resulting in total losses of $10 billion. The median amount lost to these scams was roughly $500. So it's not that big of a number, but $500 is significant. That's marginally higher than in 2022, when about 624,000 people reported losing money to fraud scams totaling $8.9 billion. So law enforcement often doesn't have enough officers or field agents to go after every single instance of fraud, especially if only a few $100s was stolen. So I think a lot of people, if you report these instances, you're not always going to get the attention that perhaps they deserve because there are so many of them. So scammers know this, right? And they tend to go after seemingly smaller amounts of money to keep activities slightly under the radar. So business imposter scams, where attackers impersonate legitimate organizations like a major retailer or tech support, jumped 18% in 2023 to 474,000 instances. Scams mimicking government officials and services grew by 15%, with the FTC receiving more than 228,000 reports of such scams in 2023. So I'm looking at this chart that's out of this Axios report, and it says, 2023, $10 billion, 2022, 8.9, going all the way back to 2019, it was only 2.4 billion. Which is still a lot of money. And I'm sure, again, you're probably thinking like, oh yeah, I've seen these scammers. And a lot of people don't fall for it, but clearly a lot of people do. In fact, just last month, we learned of an instance out of Waukesha where police arrested a suspect during a sting operation. I want to read from the article because you may recall it. A man has been charged after an 84-year-old woman reported fraud of $707,000 in cashier's checks and gold bars. So this person stole, scammed this poor old woman out of $750,000. The victim contacted the Waukesha Police Department on January 18th to report the fraud complaint. She provided documentation of 6 transactions ranging from $75,000 to $230,000 between November and December of 2023. So this is a huge deal. And they ended up being able to catch this guy through kind of a sting operation where he positioned himself like a tech, and he was going to help with her computer. And then they arranged to meet because he said she had to withdraw money from the bank. And she ended up taking out gold bars. Like, who has gold bars? But this poor woman, after reporting to officials, was being assisted. But not everybody's able to do that. And not everybody has the wherewithal to say, oh my God, I have been scammed. And so what are we to do about this? And especially for older individuals. I know when Aaron and I were talking about this, it just kind of teeing it up as a conversation. You had said, Aaron, that your grandma ran into something like this.
Yeah. It was towards the end of her life, but she was still very much there at that point in time. And she got a call early in the morning, from somebody who was pretending to be my brother James.
Oh my gosh.
And they were saying, Grandma, I just got arrested. I need, I forget how much it was. It was a couple $1,000s at least in bond or bail. And she was going back and forth, and she even said that the person sounded like my brother. She was like, it sounded like James. I could have sworn it sounded just like him. So then but then it clicked in her mind, like, how come he's asking me and not his parents? So then she called my parents, and they're like, James is laying in bed. And
oh my gosh.
Then we realized it. But she was that close, like really, really close to sending it over because she was concerned, and she genuinely thought it was my brother.
So did she report it?
I don't know what ended up happening with that. I think they did report it, but it just kind of ended up hitting a brick wall,
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank goodness that turned out the way it did.
It's scary.
Yeah, I have a coworker who was telling me a similar story, and I don't think it was like in jail, but it was something about, I need you to send me the money right now. And she did. She went to the bank, got the money out, and then I think after she had sent it, she realized, oh my goodness, this I think is a scam. And it was something like her granddaughter or her niece. And she was like, no, my niece is here and not where she said she was, where I sent the money. And she was very embarrassed about it. And I think to the point that she wouldn't share the information. And so they weren't able to report it accurately or be able to stop this from happening again. So, what are we to do, especially with all this predatory behavior, especially on this vulnerable population? 855-616-1620. That's the WTMJ talk and text line. If you want to weigh in, there are a number of pieces of advice for people to share with either older adults or those who might not be as familiar with technology. But here's the deal. Even if you are familiar with technology and if you trust a resource or a government entity, you could fall prey to that. I know I was with another friend who we were away, and she had a babysitter, and she said, that's so weird that my babysitter asked me to Venmo her money. And so she did. If you're familiar with Venmo, it's a cash kind of trading app. And you have an identity, and often you have to verify identity with a cell phone number. Sometimes you don't, though. Anyway, she sent the money. And then the request came again, and that kind of clicked in her head like, oh, something's weird with that. And so she picked up the phone and called, and it turned out that it was a fraud account. And, I mean, she had already sent a couple $100. I mean, and that's just a big deal. But what a terrible feeling to think that people are going after your identity, going after your bank account, and in such a predatory manner. And there's seemingly nothing that can be done about it. We all have to just be aware, be mindful, and not trust anything. And I think that it's actually, in the bigger picture, a shame, because we should want to trust people. And with all of this technology and the ability to share money or pay for things online, we should feel safe and confident in being able to do that. And bottom line, at the end of the day, even if you aren't getting scammed, even if you aren't the scammer, everybody pays for this because it increases the cost to the consumer, insurance, security systems for all these companies. And it is just a shame. But that struck me. That is a big number, $10 billion. So be aware and share that information with your loved ones. All right, more when we come back. It's 2:17 on WTMJ.
Start planning for your retirement today so you enjoy retirement tomorrow. Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday mornings at 7, where Tony Drake and his Education First team discuss retirement trends, taxes, inflation, and Social Security benefits to help you achieve a more secure financial future.
Join us this week as we take a look at the federal election and the impact it may have on your retirement.
Retirement Ready with Tony Drake on WTMJ.
The pain was so bad I could barely walk, and now after stem cell treatment, I run marathons.
Now this is an exaggeration, but I do hear about unbelievable miracle outcomes, and I have to ask, do you really believe them? If they were true, these biological treatments wouldn't even have to be advertised. Truth is, stem cell effectiveness is nowhere near 100%. It's expensive, and it doesn't last. At Rejuvenex, our FDA-approved pharmacological treatments ease inflammation and reduce pain. They're precisely administered to where your pain lives, and they work. Will the pain reduction last forever? No. But in some cases, relief has lasted as long as 24 months, and in most cases, insurance has paid for the treatments entirely. This is Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Clinics, where we can alleviate your pain and rejuvenate your life.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
Love your car this February with Griffin's Service Department Valentine's Special. For just $179.95, your car gets the royal treatment, oil change, tire rotation, air filter, and wiper blade replacement. Complete multi-point inspections. Plus, we'll even check your battery and heating system. Available at all 5 Griffin Service Departments. See Griffin for details and restrictions. At Griffin, show your car some love.
Home is where the heart is. Family meals, laughter, and warm memories. As your local contractor that's been around for 40 years, J&J Contractors has been helping families create new memories for generations to come by reimagining your kitchen space for baking holiday cookies with the family or opening up your lower level for friend and neighbor entertainment. Whatever the project is, J&J Contractors does it with top-of-the-line craftsmanship. Just Google J&J Contractors to see their reviews for impeccable work and outstanding communication.
Welcome back on WTMJ. Great to be with you on this Wednesday afternoon, just talking about scammers in that last segment. I want to go to this story now because it's kind of a follow-up on a discussion that we had a few weeks ago about families that are, let's call it that the kids or young adults or sometimes middle-aged adults are still living with their parents. Well, this article is kind of an update on that. And it says these families are shutting down the bank of mom and dad. So parents are cutting the financial cord with their adult kids later than ever. And they hope it isn't awkward. The parents have been paying monthly phone bills and covering rent for far longer than in prior generations. Some are helping their children with down payments to buy homes. Others are putting a roof over their kids' heads well into their 20s and 30s to help them save because they can't cover the rising costs of living. But, and this came up in our discussion, this comes with a price tag. More than a quarter of parents who are helping their children financially said it caused them to postpone their retirement. And this is according to a recent Credit Karma survey. More than half had to cut back on living expenses, and about a third took on their own debt. Feeling stretched, they are negotiating now the terms of these separations. So this is interesting. The main reason that parents are saying, I will allow my kids to continue to live under this roof, or I will pay their bills or subsidize their living, is because of first and foremost, their duty as a parent. This is cited as the most common reason. The other is a high cost of living. Another is an unfriendly job market. And then, of course, rising rent prices. And the fact that it's really, really difficult for these young people to find homes. They're being kind of cut out of this home buying market. And so, they're saying, okay, we can help you out for a longer period of time, because if we can help you save money now, this is going to set you up better in the future, right? But we're starting to see more evidence that this is actually having a toll on the parents. If they're putting off retirement, if they're taking out their own debt, I mean, this is a real problem. And I think has broader implications for the future. And so they're having those tough conversations to say, all right, honey, it's time. And it's the best gift ever, I would think, for a parent to be able to set your kid up for success, right? I recall back that one of the callers during this conversation before actually said that they were collecting rent from their daughter. So their daughter lived with them and they were collecting rent for their daughter. And instead of using that money for their own use as the parent, they were helping her find a house, and then they were going to give her money for that down payment. I thought that was such a great story and a great way to kind of teach your kids and show your kids and demonstrate your kids how to be an adult, how to save, and how to make some of those adult decisions. So this is interesting. And I'm sure if you're listening out there, many of you probably like to have your adult children with you. I mean, I don't have adult children. I have a 10 and a 13-year-old, but I can't imagine that day when they're going to leave. I want to take care of them forever, right? But financially, it's probably not the best move for the long run. And then also socially and emotionally, it's probably very, very difficult. All right. We just have some, I think, breaking news that we can report. Kansas City Chiefs, as you know, are celebrating their victory, their Super Bowl victory. They have a parade right now in Kansas City. And there is a report from a Kansas City police that there were shots fired at this gathering. I heard they were expecting something like 1 million people. Shots fired west of Union Station near the garage, and multiple people were struck. It says we took 2 armed people into custody for more investigation. So we'll continue to follow that. I don't know where my mind goes with this, but certainly if we will continue to follow this through the afternoon. Right now, it's 2:24 right here on WTMJ.
Wisconsin's Morning News.
The EMS system here worked as designed.
It did not.
Listen to Vince Vitrano every weekday starting at 6 a.m.
The video simply does not support the claim that Mrs. Waldrop was obscured by a snowbank. Alderman Lamont Westmoreland, that's his district. This is his statement. I've met with MFD Fire Chief Aaron Lipsky. I am 100% confident that there will be standard operating procedure updates, changes that will strengthen protocols to reduce the chance of this type of incident reoccurring. Good. There should be changes.
Heiser Automotive will help find your perfect vehicle match or give your current vehicle the attention it needs. After all, love is in the details. You'll get spoiled with our sales and service offers and receive our Safe and Sound program with each sale. This includes the exchange program. Don't love it? Exchange it. Convenient service with our new mobile service van. This means we'll come to you. Get lifetime roadside assistance and more. Your vehicle date awaits. At Heiser, today's your day.
See dealer for complete details. Team up with the Brewers for an epic company event this season. With the Brewers Group Outing, you can trade weekday meetings for a fun-filled day at American Family Field. Featuring options like tailgate spaces, all-inclusive areas, seating blocks, and much more. Plus, Brewers ticket representatives will make planning your event simple, as they'll be your personal concierge while booking your outing. Start planning your company outing today at brewers.com/groups.
Many companies, ours included, just completed the open enrollment process for their workforce. Here is Jeff Salazinski, VP of Insurance Operations at R&R Insurance.
Thank you, Vince. 2/3 of employers we asked tell us they want to better educate their employees regarding the benefits offered. By increasing benefits literacy, there's a much higher satisfaction rate amongst employees. Increasing the learning only during the 2 to 3 week annual enrollment window is insufficient. Employee education should be a year-round endeavor.
So, Jeff, what's the solution?
At R&R Insurance, we help employers brand their benefits packages in a customized, easy-to-understand fashion, taking out the complex and confusing nature of shopping for health insurance. With our latest mobile technology, your employees will have easy, immediate access to benefit information for themselves and their families 24/7. At R&R Insurance, we know employee benefits.
That's Jeff from R&R Insurance. Thanks for the great info, Jeff.
Great to be with you this afternoon as we hit the bottom of the 2 o'clock hour. I found this interesting just because of the timing. So we're 4 years out from the first kind of COVID shutdowns, which were back in 2020, March-ish. March-ish of 2020. And you see this headline, and it talks about the CDC's guidance on COVID-19 isolation. So as many people are aware and many people are familiar with, if you got COVID or you took a positive test or you felt sick, I mean, you were supposed to kind of stay out. And I don't remember if it was a week or 2 weeks. I think it changed a lot over time. But current guidance is 5 days after testing positive, according to this CDC. Well, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is expected to shift its COVID-19 isolation guidance this spring to say that people no longer need to isolate once they have been fever-free for 24 hours and their symptoms are mild or improving. So this is according to an article that was in the Washington Post. The Post cited 4 unnamed agency officials and said the planned shift was discussed internally last week in a briefing with state health officials. Since 2021, the agency has said people should isolate for at least 5 days if they tested positive for COVID-19 and then continue to mask. The updated guidance would bring COVID-19 in line with guidance for other respiratory viruses such as the flu. So there were still a lot of, COVID hospitalizations this year, but I think a vast majority of the population has been either vaccinated or you've had COVID-19 and there's just less concern about that. And so I thought that was interesting 4 years after we hear about the first cases that we would be, changing that guidance and treating it more like the flu or the cold. And depending on where you stand on this, I think that's where many people thought we would end up anyway with COVID-19. But certainly it's good to see that we'll be easing some of the concern and consternation over that. All right, I want to turn to this quick, too, because it has to do with a fast-moving bill in the legislature. So the University of Wisconsin, Madison, is now going to have an automatic admission for the top 10% of high school students. I have a lot of friends who have high school kids who are going to college. Many of them, I would say almost every single one, applies to UW-Madison. And I'm surprised to see and hear how many of these students who are coming out of these great schools with great academic records and great volunteer and community outreach records, that they're getting turned away from their top choice, from Madison. Now, I don't know if they're in the top 10%, but they certainly are among the best students within their school. And so it's got a lot of people kind of scratching their heads. So with this new legislation, the state universities would be required to admit the top academic performers from Wisconsin high schools under this measure that was passed on Tuesday. The plan would enshrine in state law part of a GOP-authored deal that would mandate the universities of Wisconsin to do this. They would have to admit the top 5% of students from state high schools. Other universities of Wisconsin campuses would be required to admit the top 10% of high schools. So Madison would be at the top 5. Other universities would be the top 10%. The bill was introduced in June over concerns that the UW-Madison rejects high-achieving in-state students in favor of those out-of-state applicants. And what we see in comparing the tuition fee, in-state students are paying something like $10,000, where the out-of-state tuition for Madison, at least, is somewhere around $40,000. So many are saying, you're passing up these in-state students to recognize a greater gain from the out-of-state tuition. And so this has been a back and forth. There's been some other disagreements related to campus diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, and then also the construction and funding of the engineering building and other building projects. And so all of this has been kind of swirling about the universities of Wisconsin, Madison. But it looks like we have a bill here and we have a deal here. And I think this is a good thing for Wisconsin students. I mean, I think about how frustrating it must be for those parents to support their kids and say, we want you to stay close to the state. We want you to stay close to home. We've raised you here. We want you to be part of the business community. And I think any effort that we can put in place to make sure that happens and make it easier for students, and especially the taxpayers who are investing in this university system, the better off we are. So this bill is going to head to the governor's desk. And even though he's been really critical of this deal, I hope that he can find a way to sign this. Because as I mentioned, it kind of breaks my heart when I hear, again, that these students are turned away from University Wisconsin or University Milwaukee, what have you. And then they go to Iowa, they go to Minnesota. And it's because they were turned down. So I hope this turns out. I think this is an effective measure and certainly would be a big win for the state of Wisconsin. All right. When we come back, everyone loves talking about dogs, right? And this is something I know has not been talked about on any other show, right? Because it's not political, it's not business, but it's about dogs and airplanes. And what I've learned from sitting in this chair is that those are like the two things that people love to talk about. So as we go into the sunset for the show in the 2:30 half hour, we will discuss it. But right now it's 2:34 on WTMJ. I'm Tracy Johnson. Come back, won't you?
For over 75 years, Runnings stores have earned the reputation for quality brands, fair value, and hometown-friendly service. Now Runnings is bringing those same values to you. Runnings is now open in your community. Find the widest variety of everything you and your family need for your home, on the farm, and in the outdoors. Runnings is proud to live, work, and serve in local communities across the Midwest, the Northeast, and America's heartland. Runnings is your new home, farm, and outdoor store. We look forward to seeing you soon. Learn more about us at runnings.com.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. The Army National Guard responds to disasters such as wildfires and floods. They protect us with missile defense, cybersecurity, and civilian support teams for chemical, biological, and radiological hazards. Be there for your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Some things are fine to buy from a vending machine, but despite what a certain national online company tells you, a car's not one of them.
Let's see. Cheese Doodles, Mr. Nougat Bar. Oh, here we go. Green 4-door hatchback. Honey, we're gonna need some more quarters.
Sure, they make it seem convenient, but it won't be so convenient if you have a problem with the vehicle you buy. And if it's after 7 days, good luck. Adam member dealers also let you search online. And unlike those national companies, you get to see the vehicle in person and test drive it before you buy it. You also have the assurance that the vehicle's been thoroughly tested, and if any issue does come up, your local Adam member dealer is right here to service it. And can also provide low financing and top dollar for your trade. Think about that before you take a chance with their so-called vending machine.
What? It's stuck! No! Oh, rats!
Start your search at adamm.com.
855-616-1620. That's the WTMJ talk and text line. You want to talk about dogs or you want to talk about airplanes? All right, I got both for you here. This caught my attention because I actually have really strong feelings about this, but I'm going to lay it out first, all right? So it has to do with dogs ending up on a no-fly list. So pet owners find airlines inconsistent in how they enforce taking pets in carry-on bags, with some animals ending up banned. This was fascinating. For full disclosure, I have never traveled with my dogs. I do have a dog. I think that would be small enough. I know that's crazy. I didn't expect the dog to be that small, but it's like this tiny little dog. It's a runt, and it's some sort of mixed dog. I have no idea what it is. But I think she's small enough to travel on a plane, but I don't think I would ever do that. So I want to read from this story because it's kind of funny. Travelers like Megan Moskowitz say it's absolutely exists a no-fly list for dogs. When Megan tried to fly with her dog, an English Cocker Spaniel named Macy, to visit a family in Indiana, she says that United Airlines agents at Newark Liberty International Airport wouldn't let Macy on the plane. She says the agents took photos of Macy and informed her that Macy was permanently banned from traveling with the airline. United declined to comment beyond pointing to the section of its website that details its policies on flying with pets. The Transportation Department granted airlines more leeway in 2021 to keep pets off planes if they aren't service animals. Now, pet owners have tangled with airlines in recent years as carriers have cracked down on people traveling with those animals. Airlines said more people traveling with pets led to an uptick in incidents involving these animals, including bites, urination, and defecation. They also received complaints from some passengers, including those with allergies, about the animals. So dog owners say that United Airlines has the strictest reputation for its policy and think it's unfair, especially if those dogs are behaving well. There's another instance where a woman is trying to fly with her Pomeranian. She says they had flown over a dozen times together, but all of a sudden they're cracking down. They're also saying that, hey, I paid the fee, because many of these airlines have a fee for traveling with their dog. Apparently, it's about $125 to travel with the dog. But the United Airlines employee, when she got to the gate and presented the ticket, said that their 10-pound dog, so this 10-pound Pomeranian, wouldn't be able to fly. This woman says she pleaded with United Airlines to let them travel home. So they had already gotten to their location and they couldn't get home. But she said that she could do it. And then they put a note in her file because of this incident. And I feel like this is kind of ridiculous. It's like, can you fly with your pet or not? Why is there so much confusion over this? Now, personally, I am not a fan of flying with pets. I find it to be distracting. I think that, especially because not all of the pets are well behaved. All right. And I think, I understand it if you got a dog during COVID and you can't be without this dog, or if you're single or if you have family across the country. But to make this so confusing, I actually think this is an opportunity for these airlines to charge even more money, right? I mean, we're always looking for ways to make money, but now we're seeing more and more airlines go in the other direction saying, we used to be pet friendly, but now we're switching gears. 855-616-1620. That's the WTMJ talk and text line. What do you think about having like flights that are dog friendly or a flight that is not dog friendly? Like if I have an allergy and I get on a plane and there's a dog on the plane, and let's say you have an assigned seat, I'm not sure that it actually indicates that there will be a dog next to you. But what do you do in that instance? I'm sure that the airline attendants will help you figure out a way around it, but still, I feel like we've opened this can of worms with flying with our pets. So is it 9 pounds or is it 10 pounds? Is the dog going to have to go in luggage, or can it go under the seat? So there are a lot of flyers who are very confused. What's the answer? 855-616-1620. That's the WTMJ talk and text line. Again, I've never flown with my pet, but if I were someone that had family across the country, and I was used to it. I mean, we know that so many people bought dogs over the pandemic, right? And they can't be without their dogs. They can't even go to work without their dog. They got to fly their dog across the country. But now these airlines are saying, we just can't make it work. 855-616-1620. That's the WTMJ talk and text line. Your reaction, my response when we return.
Hi, this is John Neal, CPA, best-selling author and founder of the Neal Group. I have some questions for you. Who does your books? Hopefully not you. There are better things for you to do in running your business. Do you trust the numbers? Good numbers are critical for making good decisions. Are you getting the advice you need to minimize your taxes and put more money in your pocket? A good advisor makes suggestions to help your business grow and minimize taxes, not just put numbers on a form. Do your calls get returned and your questions answered? Many of our new clients tell us they love our quick response time. We have helped countless businesses increase their profits and lower stress. Get the advice you want and need to grow your business and minimize taxes. If you want to get started on the road to making more money and having less stress, visit nealgroup.net right now. That's NEAL group.net. The first meeting is free to see if we can help. Again, nealgroup.net.
Our mission is to protect and uphold our reputation. At Semper Fi, it's the banner we all march under, because the reputation we earn and uphold belongs to all of us. And without a strong reputation in the exterior remodeling business, you're here today and gone tomorrow. And when you've earned a good reputation, that's what makes the difference in value. It's the little extra that you get for the price. And that assurance is actually what counts the most, because it means the good money you're spending with us is not going to go to waste. A roof you can rely on, with a warranty that has a backbone, Craftsman quality airtight window and door installations, brick and stone masonry that's clean and sharp, and new siding that's been known to stop traffic. And it's all backed by a team that over the last 20 years have put a lot of heart and soul into building a reputation that you can believe in. This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company.
We keep you safe, warm and dry, Semper Fi.
When you're due for tire service, visit richlands.com for the location nearest you.
We'll give you a free flat tire repair on every tire we install. No questions asked. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands. You're due for service.
Richlands.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Steve and Ashley heard our radio ads over the years, and when it came time to buy their first home, clicked on the blue button. One of our senior loan consultants, Brad, sent them a credit-verified pre-approval the same day and then upgraded to a rock-solid, fully verified and guaranteed pre-approval shortly thereafter. They made a couple offers without success, and then Brad told them about AccuNet's new property-specific pre-approval, where we might be able to include those magic words, no appraisal required. When they wrote their next offer, several $1,000s over asking to make sure someone else didn't end up sleeping in their dream home, their property-specific rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval included that most powerful phrase, no appraisal required, and the sellers picked Steve and Ashley's offer over several others. If you think all mortgage lenders and pre-approvals are the same, think again. Go with a local mortgage lender that has the tools and know-how to help you win and save money too. Click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Great to be with you on this Wednesday afternoon. Dogs are ending up on the no-fly list for a number of airlines. And I asked the question, should we just have dog flights and no dog flights? I mean, what's the big deal here? Don in Oshkosh, you're on WTMJ.
Oh, hello. Thanks for taking my call. Yes. Many years ago, I worked for Delta Airlines, and I handled out of O'Hare Field. We handled many pets, but at that time, all pets flew in the luggage compartment down below the belly of the plane. There never was a pet allowed in them with the passengers.
Yeah,
now they changed that.
Yeah, and I think if it's a larger pet, they would go in the cargo. But and there are a bunch of rules. No weight or breed limitations for pets. Only be one pet per carrier, and they must be able to stand and turn around while inside. But often they're trying to put the pets underneath the seat. Yeah, I think it's probably because it's cold in there and they just don't want to be doing that anymore. So
it's not cold in the cargo bin. It's totally conditioned just like the passenger section.
Well, it's interesting, and I wonder why they aren't. I'll have to do a little more digging. Don from Oshkosh, thank you so much for the call. I want to go to the text line from the 262. Keep the animals off the planes, period. From the 414. For those who can't work without their dogs, then they should just stay at home altogether. I know. I think it's kind of funny when you see, and it depends on what community you're in and where you are, but when you see everybody like with their dogs, I mean, it's kind of funny. And I have a dog that you could definitely, I have like a purse dog, and I wasn't intending on having a purse dog, you guys, but I have this tiny little dog, and I just can't imagine taking her everywhere. From the 847, this is what the majority wants. No non-service dogs on planes, period. Sandy in Pewaukee, you're on WTMJ.
Hi. I think that the problem is that people don't understand the difference between therapy dogs and service animals. And service animals are covered with the Americans for Disabilities Act, and service animals by law can go anywhere. And they are highly trained animals that have to perform a certain task, such as alert a diabetic person that they've got low blood sugar, alert an epileptic that they're going to have a seizure. Therapy animals are just for emotional support, and they cannot go anywhere. And I think that there's too many people trying to pass off their therapy animals as service dogs.
Yes.
And I think that's the problem. Like a service dog cannot be dog interactive. It cannot be people interactive. You cannot pet them. Mm-hmm. It's there to perform a duty. And I think you're getting these people that are trying to pass off the therapy dogs as service animals, and they're not as highly trained. And I think that, that's where you saw the chickens and the donkeys or whatever, all the other animals. And I think that's what became a huge problem.
Yeah. And it becomes a slippery slope, too, because it's like, well, I mean, because you have to actually take the dog in, and it has to be like designated a service dog, right? And perform all these tasks.
They're usually trained by outside trainers, and they're trained it's very, very expensive, and they're usually trained for like up to 2 years.
Yeah.
And then they're given to the person with a disability. And I feel bad for the people with disabilities that truly need them, that are running into issues taking their dogs, because all of these other people that just are trying to pass their dogs as emotional support animals because they want them to travel with them. I think they're creating the issues.
Yes. Sandy, thanks for the call. She makes an important distinction, and also I think a whole nother area that we could talk about with service animals and therapy animals. Actually, there's a woman I know, I follow her on social media, and I know that she has like one of these therapy dogs, and it's so she can travel with the dog. And I'm just like, oh man, this seems like a scam. But here's the deal. I'm not going to judge, right? I just judged. I'm sorry. But again, kind of back to the point about dogs on planes, these airlines have said, yes, we have a system. Yes, they're allowed, but it has to fit certain requirements, and they're clamping down on this, I think, pretty significantly, and it's confusing travelers. From the 262, dog free. I'm allergic and suffer when dogs are on the plane. I've actually never seen this happen, but I know that there are a lot of dogs that fly on planes. This last flight that I was on, there were a number of dogs, and they were just pets, which is fine. And I was like, oh gosh, I wonder where this dog is going to go or where they're going to be. And I didn't end up sitting by this dog, but it was interesting because I was thinking, like, there are a lot of people with dog allergies. And how does this square? Because you are seeing more and more of it. 262, Southwest Airlines is peanut free and keeps flyers with peanut allergies safe. Perhaps airlines should consider the same for dogs and cats. I agree. That's an interesting point. I don't have to put it on my flight record or anything like that, but maybe this will become a bigger concern, or maybe this is how they're able to monitor this more. And again, is this an opportunity for some revenue capture as well? From the 262, planes are too big to economically accommodate with pet and without pet flights. So that solution is impractical. Yeah, I know, but maybe you can designate that this is a pet-free zone, and who knows? Maybe we're catering to a very small part of the audience. One more text here. Oh boy, this keeps jumping around here. My daughter flies with her cat. She comes home 3 times a year. It's a nightmare. I personally would never want to be on a plane with her and her cat. However, she drugs it, but it doesn't respond well, and people have complained to her, but she comes home in the summer for 6 weeks, so it's very hard for her to leave him behind. Oh my gosh, and cats are like a whole nother story. I have had a cat, and I could not imagine trying to drug a cat, and especially if the drugs don't take. So this is certainly a problem for the airlines, that with so many people wanting to travel with their dogs, they're going to have to figure this out. One more text here, 414, to mean the airlines can do what they want. It's their business and their choice. Some dog owners seem entitled. If they don't like the rules, they can start their own airline, yes. Or they can go to the dog-friendly airlines, because that's certainly a selling point, I think, for some airlines to say is, we will accept anyone. We'll accept your dog. It'll be a small free, or dogs fly free. I mean, wouldn't that be an interesting marketing campaign? So we'll see how big of an issue this becomes. But I thought it was interesting. And especially this article, it has these pictures of these cute dogs, and they're on the no-fly list. And especially that one where they were taking pictures of the dog and like putting it in this lady's file. Like they have a record now with the airline, so they're going to be on this no-fly list. I thought maybe that's a little too far, but we shall see. All right, right now it's 2:53. When we come back, we will see what John has on tap for Wisconsin's afternoon news.
Wake up with me. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 8:15 for Matzik's Morning Minute during Wisconsin's Morning News. Everything you need to know about all your favorite Wisconsin teams in just 60 seconds. Picked up by Lillard, lobs to Giannis, who thumps it down on the alley-oop. Every Monday and Friday at 8:15 during Wisconsin's Morning News.
Coaching in the arena and your jerseys hanging above you, I can turn to the players and say, guys, I swear to God, I play basketball. Just look up.
Sponsored by Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac.
I couldn't even bend over, but now after stem cell treatment, I can deadlift a house.
Now this is an exaggeration, but I do hear about unbelievable miracle outcomes, and I have to ask, do you really believe them? If they were true, these biological treatments wouldn't even have to be advertised. Truth is, stem cell effectiveness is nowhere near 100%. It's expensive, and it doesn't last. At Rejuvenex, our FDA-approved pharmacological treatments ease inflammation and reduce pain. They're precisely administered to where your pain lives, and they work. Will the pain reduction last forever? No. But in some cases, relief has lasted as long as 24 months, and in most cases, insurance has paid for the treatments entirely. This is Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Clinics, where we can alleviate your pain and rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain. Rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
Annex Wealth Management, investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning from a fee-only fiduciary. Forget commission sales pitches and financial products you don't need. Know the difference.